is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
You are looking live at New Hampshire International Speedway. Today, the first race in the chase for the Nextel Cup. 43 drivers here trying to win the Sylvania 300, but only 12 can take home the coveted Nextel Cup.
The dream is always the same.
Time is running out.
These guys are chasing me.
I'm gaining on you.
No matter what I do, where I go, they are after me.
Don't look back.
I have to outrun them.
I will not stop till I get my hands on you.
Before I know it, these speed demons are upon me.
There is no escape. There is no escape. There is no escape.
Fast will never be fast enough. Fast enough. Fast enough. Fast enough.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
But this is no nightmare. This chase is real. It is now. It is for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Today, 12 drivers begin the ultimate pursuit and kick adrenaline into permanent overdrive. Now is the time to chase the past, to chase the future, to chase a legacy, to chase NASCAR immortality. You are entering a realm where risk is its own reward. This is for the NASCAR Nextel Cup, and the chase is on.
10, 9, 8,
Well, the calendar still says it's late summer, but folks, this is a beautiful, crisp, autumn-feeling day in New England. Green flag temperature going to be about 50 degrees cooler than it was out in Fontana, California 2 weeks ago. Over 90,000 race fans are now settling into their seats to find out which of the 12 chase drivers will come out of here leading the coveted chase for the Nextel Cup. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. Let the NASCAR playoffs begin. You know, all through the regular season, if we can call it that, Jeff Gordon was the leader. But because they changed the rules and they awarded more bonus points for wins, his teammate Jimmie Johnson has jumped ahead of him. He's 20 points up. Can Jimmie become the first to repeat as chase champion? We're going to find out here on ABC over the next 10 weeks. And for more answers, let's go to the pit studio, and here is Susie Calvert. Susie?
Brent, we've got a full house, and we've got added intensity with the champs, Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett, and the owner, Brad Daugherty. Guys, when I say 10 races for the chase, what do you think of?
Well, I'm thinking I've worked all year long to get here. Now it's game on.
Yeah, now it's 10 straight weeks of the most extreme pressure that you've ever encountered in your life.
Yeah, pressure and consistency. You have to be consistent to be there in the end.
And how about test of endurance? And these guys pretty much have to be close to perfect for 10 straight weeks, and this is a tough field. Here are your 12 title contenders, which include 5 former champs reseeded as the points were reset for the chase, 5,000 points for each. Then drivers earn 10 bonus points for each win. From now on, points are accumulated just like they were in the first 26 races. A driver can earn a maximum of 195 points and a minimum of 34. Only difference, the 10-point bonuses no longer exist. They were used only to set the field for the chase.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Crash in turn 4.
Man,
and there in the midst of it sits Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch. Here they come, checkered flag.
You're upside down and on fire and things like that. It's not good.
Packing it up, sending it home. Kenseth wins the Auto Club 500. Title defense for Jimmie Johnson, going for 2 in a row.
Gonna drag race to the finish line. Yes. Kyle Busch in the 5.
I'm still not a very big fan of these things. I can't stand to drive them. They suck.
They touch once, twice, drag race.
Shut the door on him. Clear, clear, clear.
Wow, what a move.
He took the lead.
One attempt, it's over. One attempt.
Yo! Man, Jeff Gordon took a lead.
No idea what told
Tony Stewart had for us today. So he finally wrecked me. He got accomplished what he wanted to do.
Martin Truex Jr. is going to win his first Nextel Cup race.
Carl Edwards wins at Michigan.
You were perfect, man. That was awesome.
Just doing great, man, and I'm loving life right now.
Hamlin gets loose. They charge to the line. Denny Hamlin wins.
Hamlin.
Teammates, Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart.
Thanks, you guys did it. You got me the track position, guys. You wanted this one.
Just cut a tire and hit the wall pretty hard.
Kurt Busch takes the win at Pocono Raceway.
I feel like a newborn kid again. We're ready to run for this chase.
But a huge loss in the points right now for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And that win really bad. I know points don't mean anything, so I pushed, and I pushed too far.
Slide down, slide down. It's on fire. Hop out.
Hey, bud, you're doing a great job. Don't take any unnecessary chances. We want to be in a chase.
Whoa, hang on. And he just lost it in the corner, but he was going for it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. gave it his all, and now smoke billowing from the back of the 8 car.
Yeah, boys, you guys are awesome. Woo-hoo-hoo!
All right, like there wasn't enough pressure in all of that. Now what in terms of strategy? Are you racing for points or are you going for wins?
No, you're going for the win. I mean, I'm going to go for the win because if I do win the race, I'm going to get the points. So it's hammer down, game on. I'm giving it everything I got. And if I run good and don't break down, I'm going to get those points, like I said.
Yeah, I agree, Rusty. You know, they've changed these points around and say we want these drivers to race for victories. I'll assure you, every time we've ever strapped in one of these things, it's to win the race. But there are days that you just aren't good enough to do that. On those days, then, you accumulate as many points as you possibly can.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You have to continue to perpetuate your position. If you have a 5th place race car, you have to make sure that day you finish in 5th. You don't make any mistakes. You don't take any chances. You heard Rick Hendrick telling Kyle Busch there earlier in that clip, make sure you don't take any unnecessary chances. That's what you have to do in your points race.
So now that you're in the chase, though, if you crash out, are you done?
Well, I don't think you're done necessarily, especially if you're one of those top 3 guys. If you're Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, you kind of got a mulligan in your pocket because of all of your wins. But if you're at the bottom of the heap, you know, Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer and those cats, if you have a bad day, it's going to be a long way looking up. It's almost insurmountable if you're at the bottom.
Is it fair to say, though, that what you want to do is be finishing top 10, all right? So you don't have to necessarily win. You can crash out and you're still alive, but it's got to be consistent.
Well, it's got to be consistent, but I really believe if you're going to win this championship, you got to be strong enough to go out there and win races. I don't think you cannot not win races to win this title. So with that said, I mean, you just got to be very aggressive. You can't wreck out. People say, hey, you can have a mulligan, but you know what? I don't think you can have any mulligans. I think you have to go in this chase thinking that I have no mulligans available. I can't mess up if I'm going to win it.
Yeah, you just have to go out there and do what got you to this point, and that's race hard, be smart about it. But I think here the pit crews have to understand that every position that they can pick up in the pits is only going to help their driver in the chase to accumulate more points.
Here's what surprised me. The driver who won the most races in the chase has never won the championship. So again, I'm going to go back to that consistency above all. And throughout the show, you'll hear from every driver in the chase, beginning with the number 12 seed, who also happens to be the Bud Pole Award winner, Clint Boyer, with Alan Bestwick.
Yeah, standing just outside his motor coach, Susie, before he puts on the uniform and goes to driver introductions. You're the 12th place seed, starting the chase, first time in it. Rate your chances of winning this championship for me. Can you do it?
We got just as good a shot as anybody, but we just got to take care of business. We got to do the things that got us here, keep that in check, and we just got to improve on that. And if we can do that, get our first win, you know, if we could get out of here with our first win right here in the first race of the chase, I think it would set the precedent, say, hey, we're here for business, and it just mean a lot to our team. I think that's what our team's missing right now, and you know, a victory would certainly build confidence and build momentum for this chase.
You start on the pole for today's race. Rate your chances. Can you win?
So, I mean, Gil, you know, through practice, he told me we're going to make race runs and not worry about qualifying too much because I think it's going to rain tomorrow morning. I thought he was crazy, and sure enough, you know, it rained. So I'm glad we did spend a lot of time in race trim, and I think that's going to go a long ways. But for not only having one qualifying run on the track, you know, really proud of those guys for getting me a car capable of sitting on the pole. I think again, it says a lot about our race team and our capabilities. It's just up to us to get it done.
Good luck. The racing pride of Kansas, Clint Boyer, on the pole, and we go to Mike Massaro.
And Alan, nobody got off to a better start in the chase in 2006 than the 11 seed this year, and of course that's Kevin Harvick, but of course that was a year ago. How would you assess you and your team's performance heading into this year's chase?
I don't know how many times can you guys ask me that question in the same weekend. So, you know, I think our performance has been good. We just got to get the finishes, you know, out of the car where we're running at that particular time. So, Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet was good the other day in race trim and pretty good in qualifying trim. So we'll just and go from there.
A year ago, pretty spectacular chase, 2 victories. Still, you came up 4th, pretty close to the championship, but not what you were looking for. What can you take from that might help you this year?
Well, I think just experience. I think our whole team has been through that situation before, and you got to put together 10 solid weeks. You can't just have a couple weeks go okay and win a couple races. You got to put all 10 weeks together to make it happen. So that's what we're shooting for, and make the bad days decent and make the good days good. Keep the good days good when things are going right. So if we do that, we'll be somewhere around at the end.
And Kevin Harvick has a pretty good starting position, Brent. He rolls off 8th.
Yeah, he certainly does. Thank you very much, Mike. And as we continue on NASCAR Countdown, we'll have more from the rest of the chase field, including 5 drivers who have championship trophies on their mantle. Also, we're going to get the latest news on Junior's new number and a new sponsor for Casey Kane. And you know, he was practically a child when he first drove a NASCAR, but today Jeff Gordon makes his 500th career start. We talked to the 4-time champion about his career, his future, and fatherhood. Gordon and the rest of the field shortly making their way to driver introductions trackside, then the command to start your engines, and 300 laps of rock and roll.
NASCAR Countdown, brought to you by Chevy and American Revolution.
Here we go. Top 12 reasons I love racing.
We've got special mirrors that show objects the size that they actually are.
Whoa, how about that?
Sometimes back in the garage, there's horseplay with the air hose.
Between the G-forces and the fumes, I'm loopy most of the season.
Switch the R and C in racing, and you get carrying.
Oh, very nice.
Can hold 8 gigs of music on my new iHelmet.
Whoa.
In a pinch, checker flags make a lovely tablecloth.
2 more wins, and I get to marry Ashley Judd.
You can talk to your car and pretend you're David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
How many people can say their office goes 200 miles per hour?
Exactly.
Driving fast and starting fights.
Oh.
It's not one of those sports you have to inject stuff in your to be good.
Unlike most guys, I like it when my wife says, "You're too fast."
The traditional run through New York City with the top 12 heading into the chase, and Jeff Burton is with us now. Jeff, how much fun was that for you guys to run around New York City and to get to the Letterman show? Not everyone gets to do that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really cool to get everybody together and kind of celebrate what's happened so far and get excited about what's getting ready to happen. And you know, it's not many times you really get to spend any time with the guys you compete against away from the racetrack, and it's pretty enjoyable.
Now that is over, the emotions going into today, Jeff, starting the chase.
Well, I mean, fortunately, you know, I have some experience behind me involved in this chase now, and it's real clear to me that every race is really important. But you can't do anything about next week until next week. This week's where it is, and you know, all the focus is on right now, today. And when today is over, whatever happens, it happens, and it's done, it's over, and we go to Dover. And you know, you can't worry about 3 weeks from now, and you can't worry about 3 weeks ago. You just got to worry about what you're doing right now.
Well, and for Jeff Burton, the good thing about the right now is that at this racetrack, 4 wins. He has a good shot to do it again today. Shannon Spake.
Well, Dave, Kyle Busch is currently 9th in the point standings. This is the 2nd chase that you will compete in. Last year, got off to a rough start in the first 2 races. Knowing that you have to be consistent in order to win this championship, how do you balance consistency with also being competitive?
Well, you got to be able to go out there and run fast and be good every week, you know. And the biggest thing is to try to get our Kellogg's CarQuest Chevrolet up front. And, you know, here this weekend we didn't get much practice with it, so we're hoping that it's a good race car. I believe it's a good race car, and we'll just be able to produce results like we had all year long and just keep that consistency going that we've built up through the whole season here.
How important is it to start this weekend off the right foot and get a good finish here today?
Well, it's important, you know. I mean, Jimmy, he didn't have to last year, but my brother did in 2004. So, you know, I bet it makes things a lot easier if you're able to this week and, of course, next week, and then on into Kansas with the normal car and getting a good race there, and just getting to Talladega to see where you stack up, because you never know exactly what's going to happen at Talladega, and especially now with the new car.
Well, Susie, when Kyle Busch rolls off that track today, he will roll off 12th.
Shannon, Kyle, and Jeff in a pack of 6 drivers, all squared at 5,010 points, 50 behind leader Jimmy Johnson. 30 points is the farthest anyone has come back to win in this chase format. So if we go from Jimmy to Clint, top to bottom, how much does a 60-point difference really mean in this format?
It's not only that, it's Jimmy, Jeff, and Tony Stewart. You have probably the 3 best drivers in this whole deal up top. It's the cream already at the top. It doesn't get a chance to rise. To come from the bottom, it's insurmountable. It cannot happen. It's too big of a deficit because those guys don't make mistakes. It's not going to happen.
I don't know. Hold on there, big guy. The man that's sitting there in 12th is sitting on the pole today. So more than likely, he's going to lead that first lap. He's got 5 points already there, so he's got it down to 55. And if Clint Boyer can go out here and dominate this race today, lead the most laps, and all it takes for Jimmy Johnson just to have a little bit of an off day, and Clint Boyer could leave here the points leader.
Brad, I totally disagree with you. I don't agree with anything you just said right there. Hey, we're talking 60 points, man. It's 190 points to win a race. And after this race last year was over, they swapped almost every position. So it can be done. No. I think you're going to come back from, if you're 60 behind, you could definitely win this thing.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart up front.
Come on, man.
You're giving them a head start.
All right, guys, there's another issue here because you got the 12 in the chase, and then there's 31 other drivers out there each week who are not driving for the championship. How do they drive differently?
Oh, they drive totally different. They really do, because you know what? They want to win. They want to get out there, win this race. They don't care about those chase guys. Dale, you know as well as I do. They know who they are. The other 35 guys who they're racing out there, they know the top 12. They don't want to touch them, get them messed up. If they do, they could be in trouble. But with that said, hey, they want to win. They haven't won. They got to do some good things for their sponsors. They're concerned about themselves. They don't care about those top 12 guys right now.
Yeah, they have things that they still want to accomplish this year, but I think that they do drive a little differently around those guys. They don't want to be the person that affects that championship battle in that certain way. They're going to race those guys hard, but they're going to give them a little bit more room. But they still have things to prove. They want to get their sponsor in victory lane. Some of these guys are searching for jobs for next year, so there's a lot for them to prove.
Well, I do agree. That's the last thing they want to do is rough another guy up that's in the top 12. But still, man, they want that victory themselves.
Well, you got to try to win the race too. You like Dale said, they're trying to do things for their sponsors, and so sometimes they get in the way. That's what makes this exciting. They can get in the way of one of these chase guys.
But you know what's so much fun about this sport is that now it's the playoffs, but even the guys who didn't make the playoffs still get to play, and quite a lot of races have been won by guys who aren't in the chase. So you get to still root for your favorite guy, and Boris Said is in. The Said will be out in force, rooting for Boris Said. And drivers making their way to intros here at New Hampshire International Speedway, you just feel a different electricity and tension. Jeff Gordon promising to take it to another level, his run for a title reaching historical proportions. On the way, 300 laps around the flat track at Loudon. Aerial coverage of New Hampshire International Speedway brought to you by Best Buy. And next Saturday night on ABC, top-ranked USC battles Washington State in their Pac-10 opener. Others will see a showdown between Big Ten rivals Iowa and Wisconsin. Saturday night football presented by Southwest Airlines, and also coming up tomorrow night, Monday night football, Redskins at Eagles. When Jeff Gordon takes the green flag today, it will mark his 500th career NASCAR Nextel Cup start. Number 1 came in Atlanta in 1992. Gordon, the youngest active driver to reach 500 career starts. All 500 have been consecutive. Along the way, Gordon managed 4 titles. As Jeff sees it, being the Nextel Cup champion means that you are better than anyone else in the clutch. And in the chase format, you beat 11 other guys who were about even with you in just 10 races. That said, he promises a whole different focus and attitude, a notch above what earned him the top spot in points at season's end. Shannon Spake covers the journey.
This season, you've been the #1 spot since late March. How does it feel to be the driver that everyone is trying to beat week in and week out on that track?
Over recent years, we've been competitive, but not to the point where we were the team to beat week in and week out. We weren't, winning as many races. We weren't battling for the championship, and that's been frustrating. It's been very rewarding to see all those things come together this year.
Was there ever a time, those down years, that you thought maybe the momentum wouldn't come back?
The championship years give you confidence that you've got what it takes. The down years are what test you to whether you have the fight. in you to get back and find your way to the top.
Checkered flag waves on Jeff Gordon, his 77th career NASCAR Nextel Cup victory.
Now we talk about this season, Talladega, big race for you guys. You passed Dale Sr. in all-time wins.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was surreal because it brought back a lot of memories and you know, really made me reflect on my career about, wow, where did these wins come from? You know, I can't believe, you know, that I've won that many races. It's just crazy.
Now you had a great relationship with Dale Sr. What do you miss most about him?
I miss, you know, just what he brought to the sport. You know, I mean, he was really good to me for whatever reason. You know, we had a common respect.
But he was also hard on you.
Oh, he was hard on me. Yeah. I mean, trust me, I don't miss some of the times on the racetrack. I mean, he was one of the fiercest competitors. There was no guy you'd rather beat or race wheel to wheel with for a win than with Dale. I mean, because you knew he was the best out there.
Now you have, unlike most NASCAR drivers, have been able to make this crossover and call it Madison Avenue, call it pop culture, but you really have made this crossover.
It's the thing that has worked for me, but it's also the thing I get criticized for, especially early on. You know, I wasn't a good old boy. I wasn't, you know, a guy that cut my teeth in stock cars growing up in the South. And, you know, I'm just, country music is not something that you know, I like more, you know, hip-hop. I like more classic rock and different things like that. You know, I don't wear cowboy boots. I wear Nikes. I like to wear a nice Armani suit or Prada or something like that. And then, you know, after I went through the divorce and everything, I really started to find out more of who I am and what's going to make me happy in life.
Now you and your wife Ingrid had your first child this year, Ella.
Yes.
How has she changed your life?
I just look at the world differently, and I know no matter what kind of day I have, I'm going to come home and I'm going to have a smile on my face because I'm going to get to see her and hold her.
You talking about diapers?
Yeah.
Are you changing diapers? Like
I change diapers every once in a while. I'm not ashamed to say that. I actually enjoy changing diapers.
Well, next season there's going to be even more competition over at Hendrick Motorsports with Dale Jr. now as your teammate. Now Rick Hendrick said that he spoke to you about bringing Dale Jr. in. What was that conversation like?
That was a no-brainer. I mean, you know, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if a guy like Dale Jr. is going to get out there, you know, in the open market and be a free agent, then you better jump on that opportunity.
Now, you and Dale Jr. have pretty fierce competition going on, especially where the fans are concerned.
Right.
How do you think being teammates
I don't think there's any competition, to be honest with you. He's up here and I'm down here. I mean, he's more popular than his dad ever was. You know, I'm looking forward to having him as a teammate. You know, I think there's some things he can bring to Hendrick Motorsports that's going to benefit all of us.
Obviously, Jeff Gordon has had a great season, but he hasn't won since Pocono, June the 10th. Can you truly just raise your level when you want to?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. Jeff Gordon is the type of driver that gets up for big games, and this is the time that everybody has to get on top of their game. His team, I think, experimented with some things the latter part of the season when they knew that they were solidly in the chase, but now they're ready to go after another championship.
Turn it on?
Well, turn it on. I mean, this guy is incredible. He's a great champion. He knows how to win championships. He's just been there, done that. And if I had to put somebody in my seat to get it done, it'd definitely be him. He's the type of driver that's excelled at everything. He's run good on road course. He's run good in short tracks, speedways, and even in Indianapolis driving an F1 car in a practice session. So he's ready to turn it on. He can get it done.
21 top 10s, 15 top 5s. He has been incredible this season. This guy is the man to beat every time he straps into that race car. He absolutely can get it done.
This is his drive for 5 titles, so where do you guys put him as one of the best ever?
Oh, I think he's one of the best drivers out there, that's for sure, guys. I mean, I'd say that, you know, if you look at him, how consistent he is year after year. But the thing I am concerned about, you know, he's had out of these last 4 races he's run, he's had 3 really bad finishes, so he's going to have to get back on track right now, you know, and get going if he's going to win this title.
But in the top 5, top 1, 2, where is he?
Hey, has to be in the top 3 of all-time drivers. He has so much good qualities about him as a race driver. But on the other side of that, too, top 3 and ambassadors to our sport. sport. He does a tremendous job in promoting this sport.
Yeah, he's definitely top 2 all-time drivers. I know that's going to ruffle a lot of fans, but hey, if you look at what he's done, in 04, he possibly could have won another championship with his chase format. This year, he's leading the points going into the chase championship. So those are 2 titles he could have had over the last 3 or 4 years.
I got to put him in the top 5. You take a look at Richard Petty, David Pearson, Dale Earnhardt, guys like that. He's not better than all of them, but he's in the top 5.
And he's won at so many places, as you said. 3 wins here, but he hasn't won here since 1998. And we know that you have to take off, go call the race. We'll look forward to that.
I'll be talking to all you guys later on.
All right, we'll see you in a bit. As countdown continues and drivers getting set, we'll hear from Jeff Burton, the 4-time winner here. David Rudiman been on a roller coaster, wondering what his future is. And the big news surrounding these 2 guys, Kasey Kahne, new sponsor, Dale Earnhardt Jr., new number. We've got it all for you as Countdown continues. And we will be back in a moment with more from NASCAR Countdown at New Hampshire after these messages and a word from our local APC stations. This telecast is available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV.
We start thinking about the chase before the year ever starts.
I think when the green flag dropped at Daytona. Man, we've been thinking about the chase from the beginning of the season.
At Daytona, when I was about 250 feet from the start-finish line and Kyle Busch spun out, and we ended up going from 4th place finish to 30th.
Every race from Daytona all the way until Richmond, you're trying to make sure you have enough points to get in the top 12.
A lot of people consider now a successful season by making the chase. And so you can win 4 races and not make the chase. And people will look at, well, you didn't have a shot at the championship.
And, of course, thinking about it and doing it are 2 completely different things, and some guys do it better than others, I suppose. Matt Kenseth, one of only 2 drivers who have qualified for all 4 chases. Now, coming into this one, though, it looks like there's a very deep field. Knowing how many talented race car drivers there are in this field, how critical is it to get a win to win this chase?
Well, I mean, it's critical, but you gotta, you want to win all year and try to get the bonus points and try to do all that. So it's certainly important. The field is really good this year. It's the deepest field I've ever had, but there's 2 extra cars, so of course that adds to it. But I think you just gotta go out and run the best you can every week. Take it 1 race at a time. Get as many points as you can every week and see how it turns out.
Of course, you're facing a little bit of adversity this week as you did last week. One of the primary players on the 17 team on the disabled list, if you will. Of course, your jackman, Russ Strupp. How's that affected your team?
Well, it's it's hurt us a little bit the last couple weeks. It's just when a group gets used to how you come into the pit box, how you stop. They can anticipate all that. I can anticipate when the jack's going to drop. It's just we've been doing it for so many years ago. He's jacked my car since I started in the Busch Series in '97, so we've been doing 10 or 11 years together, and it's just a big timing thing. So this week we got another new guy, and I think he's going to do great. I said they had a great week of practice, and I'm looking forward to today. But we certainly miss Russ, that's for sure.
Well, you can never count out Matt Kenseth. In 15 races here in New Hampshire over the course of his career, he's completed all but 4 laps, Alan.
And standing by with the 7th place seated driver starting the chase, Martin Truex Jr. You got to the chase by an upswing in performance from your team that really dates back to the end of last season. What's picked this team's performance up to be a title contender?
I think the biggest thing is just experience, getting that experience, building the notes, building off past experiences that we've had. And these guys have been bringing me great race cars, since the middle part of last year. And it's just a pleasure to work with them. Real happy for Bass Pro Shops and Tracker Boats and everybody on our car to get them in the chase. And, now we've got another job to do, and that's go win some races and have a chance at this championship.
You told me yesterday that you consider this race at New Hampshire and next week's race at Dover keys to your title hopes. Why?
Well, I think if we can capitalize on the tracks that we typically run well on, then we'll go into the tracks that maybe we haven't had the greatest finishes with a lot more confidence and some notes and some race cars that we know are capable of running up front. So I'm real excited about the race today. Our car was really good on Friday in practice, qualified well, and we ran good here in the first race. So we're looking forward to today, and hopefully we can keep that thing up front all day, have the right pit strategy, have the 2 tires, 4 tires all figured out at the right times, and hope to be around at the end of the race for the win.
Good luck today. Martin Truex Jr., he starts second. Susie.
And throughout the show, we will continue to hear from all the drivers who are in the chase. Right now, NASCAR insider Marty Smith joins us. Let's do this in chronological order, because Tuesday there'll be a press conference from Gillette Evernham Motorsports regarding Kasey Kahne and Budweiser. What are we going to learn?
Indeed, Susie, probably the worst kept secret in NASCAR history. What we're going to learn is a
multi-year deal from Budweiser to sponsor the number 9 car. We all knew that was coming, but one variable some people didn't know about, this won't be a red car for the entire season. Sources close to this situation tell me that Budweiser will give up the hood for a couple of races to another one of Kane's sponsors, possibly Allstate. So that's a variable here. It's unprecedented. Bud isn't apt to give up their hood very often.
And we know sponsorship, it's all about image. So what do you guys think? Kasey Kahne and Budweiser.
Yeah, a good fit, I think. He does a great job on the racetrack, and he does a terrific job off the racetrack. So I think this is a wonderful fit. And yes, he will have to carry his ID with him. He might not look 21, but he can represent Budweiser very well.
And they've been around the sport, Budweiser, speaking of, for a long time. They've been one of the linchpins in the whole series for forever. And I like Dale said, I think it's a good fit. Kasey Kahne will step in. And, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had that hip-hop crowd, the Southern hip-hop crowd that followed him around. And Kasey Kahne can also step into those shoes. So I think it's a good fit for him.
It'll be interesting to see the rebranding of Budweiser because, as Brad stated, you know, Earnhardt Jr. was one demographic. Kasey Kahne's a completely different one. Complete rebranding. It'll be interesting.
All right, then the next worst kept secret, Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's a press conference on Wednesday. He's been teasing us about the number.
Indeed, he'll be 88, one DJ knows really well, had a lot of success in. On Wednesday in Dallas, they'll announce the 88 as well as a split sponsorship between PepsiCo brands, AMP Energy Drink and Mountain Dew, and the National Guard will also have a spot on Earnhardt Jr.'s car in some races. You nailed it. It's definitely not the best, most well-kept secret in the sport.
Well, Dale, you won the championship with the 88 and 99, so what does this feel like for you?
Well, obviously a little bit different feel, but I'm glad for Junior. I think that it's great for him and his fan base, and I had a lot of starts and a lot of success with the number 88, so I'm happy for Junior. And, you know, we did a lot of good things, 379 races in that car. I didn't even realize it was that many, but we did a lot of good things, and again, great for Junior and his fans. You know, now they can take those things that where they just had that number 8, sew them together, and they don't have to buy more souvenirs. It'll be easy for them, save a little money along the way.
It's outstanding, and you can see the numbers here. Dale Jarrett had an outstanding career with that 88. But NASCAR, unlike any other sport, has more identifiability with their numbers than any other stick and ball sport or anything. Even when you hear the drivers in the garage here talk about other cars, they'll say the 6 car wrecked me or the 37 car wrecked me, which I think is interesting. In pro basketball, we don't say the number 8 fouled me, you know, so it's really interesting.
And we're talking about the future, but the present right now is the 88 for today. For the second straight week, Kenny Wallace will drive the 88 Robert Yates Ford. A little bit of news there.
One interesting part of this, too, moving forward is what's this mean for Robert Yates Racing? What number will they have on their second race car moving forward? Doug Yates is not here at the racetrack this weekend to answer those questions for us who are hounding him to get that answer. But some of us who are longtime fans would love to see that 28 back on the racetrack, DJ.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think that their agreement whenever they went away with Texaco Havoline that they couldn't run it for a number of years, but it'd be great to see them have that 28 back on the track.
Marty, good job. We'll see you on NASCAR Now.
Thank you, guys.
And counting down to the first race in the chase, drivers will have a tough time negotiating the tough flat corners of this 1 mile oval as they spin around for introductions. It's still coming. We're counting down the 12 chase qualifiers and getting last minute thoughts from each and every one. On tap, Kurt Busch, who made possibly the most dramatic run to the chase. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
And the flames went higher at Edinburgh.
NASCAR Countdown, brought to you by Chevy, an American Revolution.
And next Saturday night on ABC, top-ranked USC battles Washington State in their Pac-10 opener. Others will see a showdown between Big Ten rivals Iowa and Wisconsin. It's Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines, 8 Eastern on ABC and ABC HD. And a huge sports weekend in New England. Google maps the way to sports heaven. Yankees and Red Sox battling at Fenway Park in Boston all weekend and tonight on ESPN. 23 miles to the southwest, the Patriots will be hosting the Chargers at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. That's also tonight. From there, it's a 2-hour car ride north that will take you back through Boston and up I-93 to Loudon. And New Hampshire International Speedway, the largest sports facility in New England with 91,000 seats, packed 2 times a year.
Here they come. Green flag. It is now displayed.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes around Jimmy Johnson on the racetrack.
Look at that thing. Oh! That could have been ugly.
Side by side on the
the advantage. He comes to the line and will score his first win of the year here today.
And that win here in July helped put Denny Hamlin in the chase for the second time now in just 2 years. So, Denny, last year you were the surprise, I think, coming into the chase. You were the rookie. This year's different, though. How do you feel the expectations are this year?
It's all self-imposed. You know, we're going to see what we got, but you know, I definitely expect to be top 5 in points. Nothing less. Anything less, then I put it on my shoulders that I failed. So I feel like I've got a championship contending team with some fine-tuning here and there. We need to be a little bit more competitive on a week-in, week-out basis for race wins. But you know, for the most part, we're a top 5 team just about every week. I just sometimes I screw up and make mistakes. It'll happen. Until I get a little bit more experience, I feel like we're not to our full potential yet.
Now, when you won here in July, you guys won on strategy right there at the end. How much is winning here at Loudon strategy versus performance of your race car?
I think you got to have a good car. If you're going to make that strong pit call at the end to try to win the race, you got to have a good enough car to run good on 2 tires or no tires. And you know, we got our car the best it was all day. Kept working on it all day long to get it at its best before that last stop, and things just worked out for us there at the end. We've lost a lot of races from being the best car and not winning, so you know, that was one payback for us.
All right, well, Denny Hamlin in a new car, not the same one he won here with in July, and he rolls off 14th.
And Kurt Busch enters the chase seated 5th, just 40 points out of the championship lead. Kurt, how pleased are you with your team's performance right now going into the chase?
Well, we feel incredibly happy that we're here. That's the first, most important thing. To have a shot at the championship, you got to be in, and the last 10 weeks have been really good for us, especially since Pat Tryson came aboard. So we feel really good about our Miller Lite Dodge and our chances during the chase. We're not a favorite, but we're not a dark horse, so we'll consider ourselves a threat.
Now, you didn't get a chance to bring the PT Special or Roger here, those 2 traditional cars that you've won with. So if you take a COT to victory lane here today, have you thought about possible names for your first COT winner?
Well, we don't get ahead of ourselves. We have help during the race with our marketing staff and then my ideas during the race, but we just hope that we've got a good COT here today. And the cool thing about when you win with a COT is, heck, you get to use that car and that's set up next year, so that's what we got to work on.
It's a very good thing. He's won twice here. They came during his championship season in 2004 when he swept. Shannon?
Carl Edwards currently 4th in the point standings. Had a little bit of problem in first practice. You had to go to a backup car. Because of the rain, you were not able to get any laps on that car. How concerned are you about this race right now?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, anytime you don't get any practice on a car and you have to go out, it's a little bit of a risk. But the good thing about it is my guys have, great backup cars. They were well prepared. You know, they've got another one they shipped on a truck just to make sure if something happened yesterday. And, the biggest thing for me personally is to know that my guys are behind me that much. It was really cool the way the team gathered around and everybody helped out.
How will a strong finish here today affect your momentum through the next 9 races of this chase?
I think, I think that to individuals and, as far as mentally, I think it's a big deal to go out and run well at this race. Yeah, I mean, realistically, Jimmy Johnson finished 39th here last year, and he still went on to win the championship. So I think you get 1 or 2 bad races, but I definitely don't want to use mine up here at Loudon, so I'm relying on this backup car to be a good one.
All right, looking for a good finish here today. He rolls off 11th. Jerry?
Thank you, Shannon. You know, Carl Edwards is the kind of player that any driver or coach would love to have on his team. And speaking of coaches, Andy, crew chiefs are really like head coaches for these race teams. They map out the game plan as for the chase. Now, what is the big picture strategy for this chase?
Well, Jerry, any head coach will tell you the way to win a championship is don't beat yourself. And that's the thing it's going to be. These other guys, some days you're going to have a car that's capable of winning. Some days you're not. And when you get outrun, you just get outrun. But the key thing to staying in contention is don't beat yourself.
Typically late in this race, teams gamble on 2 tires, maybe no tires. If you're a chase driver, how much can you afford to roll the dice today?
Well, that's what's going to be fun. You never know who that's going to be. Some guys are going to play it both ways, and that's why it's going to be fun to watch.
That should make it fun to watch. Do you gamble? Do you not gamble? How is the car set up? With more on that, let's go down to our ESPN Dish Tech Center and the Chevy Cutaway car. Here's Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. What we're going to look at today, folks, we've got spring packages, shock absorbers, we had spring rubbers for adjustment. We're going to go back and rely a lot on notes. What we found up here at Loudon to be a significant value, the bigger sway bar we put in here. Years ago, we had a 1-inch bar. Now we got like 1.5 inch ends on bars. Just look at this thing, folks. That's a 2-inch bar. You can literally put it inside. And what that anti-sway bar is going to do is keep the roll out of the car, keep weight from transferring over to the right side. At the end of the day, the car is going to have a better plane on the racetrack, turn through the corners better. That sway bar is going to be a very, very good tuning device throughout the event today. Jerry?
Cutaway Car is brought to you by Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history and American Revolution.
Two former title winners still on the way. Last year's chase spoiler, Tony Stewart, looking for championship number 3, and Jeff Gordon on his drive for 5. Past champs taking on New Hampshire International Speedway and each other next. And we'll be back in a moment with more from NASCAR Countdown at New Hampshire after these messages and a word from our local ABC stations.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. I'm Jamie Little, now joined by the third-place driver, Tony Stewart. And Tony, what a difference a year makes. What are your emotions right now when you think back 1 year ago, knowing you didn't make the chase, now you're back and you're in it?
Well, I'm not sure I'm that emotional about it, but, you know, we're right back where we needed to be in the first place. I mean, we should have never missed the chase last year, but just bad luck in the last 3 races got us in that position. So it's a very humbling experience, and it shows you can't take any week for granted. So, you know, we're just glad to be back in a chase, obviously, and, you know, this Home Depot Pal is pretty fast. So hopefully, I think we're one of 5 cars that are really quick this weekend, so we just got to do what we can and do what we do best, and that's just go out there and try to lead laps.
You know, quite the momentum built up, won 3 races in the last 8, and Tony Stewart, the only driver in the field who's won here in an Indy car, and now he's looking for his 3rd win in a stock car. Alan?
With Jeff Gordon, the second-place seated driver starting the chase, we heard from you earlier on a variety of issues, so I'll ask you about the race. How do you approach these opening laps from 18th starting spot?
Yeah, you know, definitely going to have to be a little careful. We know we've got a mandatory caution coming at 35. The only thing with that is this is already a short race, so, you know, track position is extremely important. So, you know, I think it takes a couple laps to get the heat in the tires here, and we start on the outside the last time we were here, and it worked well for us, but we're, you know, about 10 more spots back, so we'll do the best that we can with that, and you know, I think that we got a really, really great race car with this DuPont Chevrolet, so there's no reason for us to get in too big of a hurry. And I know I got an awesome pit crew and crew chief and Steve Letarte. Hopefully we'll make our way to the front before this thing's all over.
Good luck today. Jeff Gordon, Brent.
All right, Alan, thank you very much. Folks, it's about time to stop talking and go racing. We're moving in on the green flag. Still to hear from the defending champion. Can Jimmy Johnson repeat? Can he win his 2nd consecutive chase? More as we continue.
And finally, the defending champ, Jimmy Johnson, is back on top. How do you describe the difference and what the rest of the season feels like, and then when you get to the chase?
Gosh, it's so difficult to explain. If anybody has ever been in a playoff situation, they would understand that. And it's a very pressure-packed, intense period of time where everything you do, you worry about the outcome and what's going to happen from it. So, you know, last year we got our championship, one that we worked so hard for. This year we're still as motivated and as hungry as ever, but we have a lot more confidence and a lot more relaxed as a team. So I'm looking forward to good things.
Best of luck the rest of the way.
Awesome, thank you.
Brett, Jimmy Johnson also looking for 3 straight wins.
Thank you, Susie. And so, 12 drivers in search of the pot of gold. The chase. NASCAR's playoffs are about to begin. And before we go green, it will be down at trackside where we'll go through the opening ceremonies. One thing to remember about Jimmy Johnson, he's won 7 chase victories in the past. And now for our ceremonies, let's go trackside.
Your color guard today represents some of the best of America, the multi-services, and all of these flags are flown by New Hampshire people. We ask you at this time to please rise. And we ask Denise Doucette of Milan, New Hampshire, for our friends who are here today from Canada. Here is our Canadian national anthem.
Porte les pieds et
l'histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Qui Poland, glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The invocation for today's event will be given by the Bishop Michael Cody of the Diocese of Norwich, Connecticut.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, out of your infinite love, you have called us into being and daily sustain us. For the gift of life, we praise your holy name. Look kindly upon your people who have gathered for this NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Be present in a special way to the drivers in today's race. Bless their families that they might always remain united in your love. Father, in your mercy, give your protection to the men and women in the armed forces who defend our freedoms in foreign lands. We ask this through Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
We ask you to remain standing as U.S. Coast Guard Petty Officer Christine Rommel will present our Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
A New England Sunday that is absolutely perfect for the horses to growl and the tires to squeal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the chase. 12 drivers left standing, all in search of one thing, a coveted Nextel Cup trophy. And the gentlemen who are going to call the race for us, Jerry Punch, Andy Petrie, and Rusty Wallace. Take it away, Doc.
Thank you very much, Brandon. It's great to have you with us, folks. Brett Musburger flew cross country last night after doing a phenomenal job on the USC-Nebraska football game out in Lincoln, Nebraska. Great to have him here and great to have you here with us. Now, let's show you how the 12 drivers in the chase are seated and where they will start in today's event. Now, seating is done by giving each driver 5,000 points and adding 10 points per win. That's why Jimmy Johnson is at the top seed with his 6 wins and 5,060 points. Now, just note that our bottom seed, Clint Boyer, is also our top qualifier here today. Now, who among this dozen has the best record average finish here at New Hampshire? Well, despite the fact that Jeff Burton is a 4-time winner, Denny Hamlin has the best average finish. He has run 3 races and finished 6th, 4th, and 1st here in his last time here. Along with the champions, Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us today here in New Hampshire. You know, NASCAR's postseason chase format is pretty simple to understand. It is 12 drivers, 10 races, 1 championship, but the pressure is just immense, and it all begins here today. Now, Rusty, you have competed in this race as a driver in part of this chase. Share with us the emotion. What's going on inside the helmets of those 12 chase drivers right now?
Well, Jerry, there's a lot of nerves in their helmet right now. They're nervous. They're nervous about this chase. They want to win the chase. But one main thing they're concerned right now about is this racetrack. This track is a very slick racetrack. You run the air pressures very, very low. And in the first 10 laps of this race, there's a lot of sliding around going on. So these drivers are concerned right now, not to wreck the cars early. They got to get them to the end right now.
Andy, what's the pressure like on these crew members and spotters here today?
Well, the tire changers have to make sure they hit every single lug nut. The jackman has to make sure he doesn't drop it too soon. The spotter has to make sure the guy's clear. He's got to know he's clear. He can't just think he's clear. None of these guys want to be the guy that costs their team a chance to win a championship, so the pressure's definitely on these crews.
Mistakes will cost you positions. Positions will cost you points, and that can cost you a championship. There's absolutely no margin for error. Race number 1 in the 10-race chase coming up next.
Providing the call for competition today, the president of Sylvania, Charlie Jarabek.
On behalf of Sylvania, gentlemen, start your engines.
Crank them up, gang. Crank them up. Fire up. Fire, buddy, fire up. All right, guys, we're all set. Let's like we talked about. Let's get this thing going. It's all about winning tonight. Let's do everything we got. Good luck, guys. That big buddy wants that little monkey running around with a jack in his hand. Those who can't drive are fine. Those who can't survive, jack. So if you can't do any of that, then you're an agent, is that right?
Engines have fired and 43 of NASCAR's finalists are set to compete for 300 miles. 12 drivers, 12 dreamers begin their chase for a NASCAR Nextel Cup championship. Take a look at our starting grid. 28-year-old Clint Boyer will lead him down his second career pole. Beside him, another sophomore driver, Martin Truex Jr. Now, while you watch to see where your favorite driver will be starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, the driver of the Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick, who starts in 8th position here today.
Hey, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
10-4, Rusty.
Buddy, you did a great job getting into chase, and you won this race last year. But with all that said, what's your biggest concern here today?
Well, we came a lot different than what we did last time here. Our car ran really well at Richmond last week. Obviously, we had a little bit of trouble, but overcame that, and everybody's pretty much at a clean sheet of paper right now. So we're just going to race as hard as we can. This is one of our best racetracks, so we got to make some ground today.
All right, buddy, what corner are you most concerned about? A lot of people talked about different corners giving them problems. What's your worst corner out here?
I think that there's a big bump getting into 3 where they've kind of put a patch back there that kind of makes the wheels lock up getting into turn 3. So that's given me probably the most trouble, probably getting into 3 so far.
All right, man, have a great race today. We'll talk to you later on.
All right, guys, have fun.
Let's hear from the man who will call the race today for Kevin Harvick, his crew chief, Todd Barrier.
Hey, Todd Barrier, Andy Petrie, you got a copy?
Yeah, 10 for Andy, got you.
Hey, Todd, now that you're in the chase, how aggressive can you afford to be down there?
We honestly, we got to go out here and win races, so we're going to be aggressive doing that. If it comes to pit strategy, we qualified decent, we got a good starting spot, we got a good pit stall, but when it comes to the end of this race, we got to be in the front of this thing to win it, so we're going to be as aggressive as it takes to win. If we got to pit, do no tires, 2 tires, whatever it takes to get this car out front. At the end of this thing, it's a real short race, so we got to have track position, and we're going to push hard as we can.
10-4, Todd. It sounds like it's going to be fun to watch. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
So maybe a little bit of gambling here from some of the folks in the chase. Now let's update some of the stories we'll be following throughout the day by hearing from 4 of the best pit reporters in the business, starting with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, we've seen and heard from all top 12 drivers, but reality is there's 31 other drivers in the field, and they're all gunning for a win as well. 2 drivers in particular to keep your eyes on. Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's been 52 races since his last victory. victory. I talked to Tony Uri Jr., his crew chief, and he told me he and Dale want nothing more than to get a victory to say thanks to the team who stuck by him the last few years. Remember, Dale Jr. is on his victory tour, and he's saying so long to DEI. Somebody else to watch, Ryan Newman. He's always a threat here at Loudon. He got his first Cup win here. He got his last Cup victory here just 2 years ago as well. So the reality is, Mike, the pressure is off the rest of the field, and today it's all about the win. Mike?
And Jamie, what about Cinderella? Could we see a fairy tale story emerge in this chase? In the history of the chase, no eventual champion has been seated more than 30 points back. Yet in this edition, there are 7 drivers who are seated 50 or more points behind the number 1 seed, Jimmy Johnson. Among them, Denny Hamlin, a guy who won here in New Hampshire back in July. And Kyle Busch, a guy who drives for our Hendrick organization that has won 6 Car of Tomorrow races so far in 2007. There are a host of other drivers who fall into that underdog category. Will one of them be fitted for a glass slipper today? Who knows? After all, this is the Magic Mile. Dave?
Well, Mike, it's a chase given. One of NASCAR's flattest tracks will produce some of the highest drama in the chase. That's right here at New Hampshire. Remember 2004 and 2005? Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch, respectively, had trouble early on, and they never made it back to the top of the chase. Then last year, Kyle Busch hit the wall on lap 3. He was never to chase again. And Jimmy Johnson, he had trouble as well. He had a wreck, and his finish of 39th place meant he didn't see the top of the chase until the final 2 events of the season. Today, with this choice piece of New Hampshire real estate, how will it treat the chase in 12? Alan?
Well, now that we're in this championship chase, the race in all of its elements remains the same. Avoid trouble, have good pit stops, good strategy, and the first one to the checkered flag is still the winner. What changes now is the intensity. Every pass for position on the racetrack, every mistake on pit road or on the speedway costs more than it did just a week ago. Nothing really changes. It all just means a little bit more for these final 10 races. Doc?
Thanks, guys. We'll take our viewers not only inside the race, but inside the chase with 8 high-definition onboard cameras. There's 01 of Regan Smith. Starts 16th in the Principal Financial Chevrolet. That's July's winner. Denny Hamlin starts 14th in the FedEx Chevy. Matt Kenseth starts 30th in his Roush Fenway Ford. Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner here, 6th in the Home Depot Chevrolet. Our in-race reporter, you've heard from Kevin Harvick. He starts 8th in the Shell Pennzoil Chevy. Jeff Burton, the 4-time winner here, starts 23rd in the AT&T Chevy. Watch for him to be a factor early on. Tony Raines, 24th, the Texas Instruments DLP Chevrolet. And, of course, the car number 99, the backup car for Carl Edwards, the Office Depot Ford, starts in 11th position. Looking out the back of our Chevy pace car, you'll be able to see the field bobbing and weaving behind. A couple of sophomore sensations. 07, of course. Clint Boyer beside him, the Dover winner, Martin Truex Jr. What to watch for, guys. Now, remember, there are 7 drivers of the 12 in this chase that are seeking their very first NASCAR Cup Championship.
And there's the guys that are outside the top 12 are looking to get a win. For them, they just want to spoil the party. So they want to get in there and get a win. And then there's a handful of guys that are still looking for a ride for 08.
You talk about setting the plate for 08. I mean, these guys want to come out of this year when it's all said and done with the best pit crews. They got to have some rhythm. They got to have, the finances put together, everything. So, they want to go to the Daytona 500 in 2008 knowing that they're ready to rock and roll and get the job done.
This is a 300-lap race on a track just over a mile, so the length of the race is actually 317 miles. Pit road speed 45 miles an hour, pace car over 150. There's the pit window. There will be a competition yellow at lap 35 because there was no final practice session yesterday due to the rain. A big sports weekend here in New England. Yes, the Red Sox and Yankees coming up tonight. The Patriots playing. But all eyes right now focused on the stage that NASCAR has brought. The chase for the championship. Round 1 of 10. Who's going to become the 2007 NASCAR champion? We'll see who can get a leg up today by winning in front of 100,000 plus at New Hampshire. Pace car peels away, and 2 sophomore sensations, Boyer and Truex, will lead him down. Fans on their feet, here they come with a green flag. Remember, you get 5 points to lead a single lap. 5 more if you can lead the most laps. Clint Boyer in the 07 car is the bottom car in the chase. He wants to get these 5 points by leading lap 1.
Yeah, he got a big jump in that restart, guys. He jumped out front, a car and a half lead over Kurt Busch right now, and it looks like coming off of turn 4, he's going to be the guy who leads the first lap and gets those very important 5 points.
You have to think these guys, all these guys, these top 3 are racing hard for those 5 bonus points. I can see Kurt Busch here driving hard up in the corner.
And one thing you got to remember here, guys, this track is very, very loose early on in the race. A lot of slipping and sliding. It's going to take about 10 or 12 laps before the handling starts coming around.
Rusty, the air pressure low on these cars. How much do you have to tiptoe? Can you really push the car early on?
You can't push the car much, Jerry. You got to know its limits. You got to be really easy with the throttle off the corner and don't use too much brake going into turn 3. You heard Kevin Harvick, our in-race reporter, saying that's the toughest part of the racetrack right there.
Folks, across the top of the screen, you'll see our normal ticker, which shows you how they're running in the race. Now, at the bottom of that throughout today, you'll be able to follow the chase and the points as the drivers move up and down in the top 12 of this race to the Nextel Cup Championship. You'll be able to see where they move in that top 12.
You talk about tiptoeing. Look at the 16 car Greg Biffle really get out of shape right there. His car got real loose early on just because of those cold tires and low air pressures. And you got to be really careful right now. Early on, second place right now. Martin Truex getting ready to overhaul Kurt Busch in the 2 car. Alan?
You know, Rusty, so many teams have talked about momentum for this 10-race stretch to the championship. Kurt Busch's team has just come off of 9 races where they won twice and have finished in the top 10 almost every week. Incredible momentum that vaulted them from being out of contention for the title to being in the chase group. As crew chief Pat Price told me this morning, we need 10 more weeks like the 9 we just had, and we can win this thing. Dave?
And right in front of him now, the 1 car of Martin Truex making that pass for second. What a better way for the 1 team to start than to have races at New Hampshire and Dover. 2 very good tracks for this team. Remember, earlier this year, he won at Dover. Here at New Hampshire in July, Martin Truex finished 3rd. It's a great way to begin for the 1 team.
Well, one fella you better take a look at right now is a 29 car, Kevin Harvick. He just went past Jimmy Johnson and pulled up in there. And his car, he told us earlier, you know, it's going to be loose. He's concerned about turn 3, but he did win this race last year, and he gets around this track real well. Looks like right now it's marching to the front.
And we just heard from his crew chief, Todd Barrier. He said they were going to be aggressive, and I really thought they meant on pit road, but it looks like Kevin's being pretty aggressive on the racetrack as well.
Kevin Harvick very frustrated about the fact that a lot of people thought he might not make it in the chase. A lot of people said, you know, you may slip down and Earnhardt Jr. may get by you, and that motivated his team. Guys, you doubted us. You really doubted. Now we're going to prove that we deserve to be here.
Yeah, he sounded a little bit testy here the last couple of races. Now, I think he's wanting to throw down on these guys and show what he's made of.
Well, I tell you, I talked to a lot of the drivers. A lot of them are a little bit snippy, a little bit arrogant, you know, because they're so focused. They want to do so well, and when you ask them a question, they're like, you know, somebody else already asked me that question. We're like, it wasn't us.
Side-by-side battle here for the 9 and 96. Casey Kane, big announcement coming up on Tuesday. Sponsorship. 96, Tony Raines has done a great job in this car. Will be replaced by J.J. Yaley in 2008, and Tony is not only driving for a win, he's driving possibly for a ride in 2008.
Yeah, I'm sad to see Tony Raines out of that car because he's done a good job and got that thing in the top 35 in points, which is very, very important right now.
And Tony's just one of those good guys you like to see do well.
Bobby Labonte, the 43 car, you saw him. In the back of this mix, Tony Raines being shown in 24th position. Behind him is Casey Kane in 25th. There's the battle. Now is the 43 car. Bobby Labonte goes by Casey.
A lot of these guys are trying to feel their cars out because they didn't get a final practice, a race practice yesterday because of rain. So they're going to feel their cars out. They're going to get I think NASCAR is going to put the caution out at lap 35. They are going to put the caution out at 35. So these guys can look at their cars and check the tires out.
I'll take a look at Kurt Busch now underneath Martin Truex. Kind of gave him a little bump in the left rear quarter panel just then. Tell you, this 2 car, this is a car that can win this championship. He's won 2 races this year at Pocono and Michigan. I talked to the guys earlier. They said, Rusty, we got a fantastic car. You better be talking about us.
Kurt Busch won both events here in 2004, but he's had abysmal luck at this racetrack. He has finished 19th or worse in his last 4 trips in New Hampshire. He just can't catch a break. Now, here's a guy that's been awfully good here, and he's on the move, Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon is always good here. In fact, this race last year, the first race this year, he almost beat Denny Hamlin to the line. It was a drag race right to the line, and Gordon was pretty dominant throughout the day, so this doesn't surprise me how he's running right now. This Hendrick-led group's been strong.
He started about mid-pack there, I think around 18th spot, so he's trying to make up some spots early.
Look at the back. Whoa. These cars, they're really driving these cars deep in the corner. We saw it in qualifying and in practice how much smoke was coming off these tires as they entered the corner.
Here's a swap for second spot. Kurt Busch now getting by Martin Truex. But what's happening with these brakes is that these cars have such a high center of gravity. These guys are still trying to learn exactly where the limit is on that brake pedal.
And a lot of smoke coming off the front of the cars because of it. But look at Stewart underneath Truex right now. Truex looks like his handling is just a little off, a little loose off the corner, it looks like. And now you see Kevin Harvick sneaking in the picture.
Tony Stewart takes the third spot away. Truex is fourth. Harvick now in fifth. And as you watch that move, and not far behind Harvick, if you look out the back, you can see Jimmy Johnson creeping into the picture. More on Martin Truex with Dave.
That car right now, guys, just a little bit tight for Martin Truex. Crew Chief Bono Mannion reminding him that you have the brake bias, that you can adjust some of the brakes to the rear. That will loosen that car a little up in the center of the corner and on entry. And so if he does that, perhaps it will come to him just a little bit better. But right now, hard to turn through the corners.
It's a little bit tricky, though, when you start adjusting on that balance bar, because Carl Edwards wrecked his car in practice because he locked those rear wheels up. So it's a little bit tricky.
Gordon's got a good run off the bottom of the racetrack right now. His car's working really good down low. Got around 18 car J.J. Yeley, and now Jeff Burton running right behind him. But look how low that car is to the ground again, Andy. We've talked about it all year long. A lot of smoke off that 18 again.
NASCAR Nextel have their spotters watching the back of J.J. Yeley's car, number 18. He pulls right up in front. And how worried is Jeff Burton got to be about what could happen in the 18 car? He's right behind him. But no worries whatsoever for Burton's teammate, Elton. As Clint Boyer being shown as the leader after 13 laps. It is Boyer. Back with more from New Hampshire after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Office Depot, the official office products partner of NASCAR. Sprint, featuring NASCAR Nextel Cup Series updates at sprint speed. And Dodge, live life to the fullest. Dodge, grab life.
Welcome back to New Hampshire. 28-year-old Clint Boyer is set on the pole here and has led all 20 laps thus far. He led only a total of 83 laps all season long, and he is has a car that's the one to beat here early on. Kurt Busch in second spot, holding off Tony Stewart, as we have 7 chase drivers in the top 10. Martin Truex is fourth, Jimmy Johnson fifth. There comes the 24 car of Jeff Gordon, and he is making moves high and low to get around people. That's his teammate Casey Mears in the 25 right in front of him.
Yeah, he's moved up to 15th position right now. He's been knocking them off left and right. So we know one thing. He didn't like starting in the back where he started. His car's working really well. I see him making passes on the bottom, but he's getting a lot of momentum off the top side of the track as he comes off and swaps lanes like he's doing right now.
Check out Matt Kenseth here on the bottom underneath Juan Pablo Montoya. He's right on the bottom of the racetrack. This is one of the hardest places to pass and get. You have to earn every spot here.
You know, Matt Kenseth, he doesn't make it easy on himself either. He qualifies not real well, not to his liking, but he drives that thing right to the front every single time and always seems to get the job done. Dave?
And Rusty, he's experiencing the same kind of things that most of the guys are with these cars. A little difficult to turn through the center of the corner. But at the same time, he's radioed back to Robbie Reiser. It's really good. And as he's passing cars, we can tell.
That's good news for these guys because they kind of struggled in practice. They were not very high on the practice sheet and they qualified bad. Looks like they're getting their stuff ready to go here when it's time to go.
You know, we've been seeing a lot of cars out there smoking. I just saw some smoke off the 17 of Kenseth, and it looks like, Andy, the splitter in the front causes smoke. That new splitter on these car tomorrows, and we see a lot of cars doing that.
These guys want to run these springs as soft as possible, and it makes that car travel down all the way. You see it down almost on the racetrack, and even when they have low air pressures, that thing can actually hit the racetrack and cause this thing to smoke.
For folks who may not know what the splitter is the front of this car, the actual front of the car. You see that orange strip on the bottom of the 07 car. That's the splitter area on the lower part of the front air dam in the car of tomorrow. Let's go down and check in Boyer's pitch with Jamie.
Well, as Clint continues to check out, you wonder what's going through his mind right now. Well, he hasn't said a whole lot, but just a few
about that? Clint Boyer's not in Kansas anymore. You know, you get to have dinner with those kind of rock stars, and suddenly you become a rock star. And he certainly is right now on this racetrack.
I'm impressed with him right now. I'll tell you, he kind of snuck in this chase, and now he's just really just putting it down on these guys. He's way out in front.
Here's a couple of guys that have some things to prove for 2008. The 41, Reed Sorensen, driving for Chip Ganassi. Felix Sabatos, the 19, Elliott Sadler, trying to finish this season on a high note.
These are two guys that's got really good cars. Felix Sabatos, Chip Ganassi racing their team, and Everham Motorsports with Gillette right now. Those guys are trying to get their act together, so when they end the 2008 season, they really got something to start that 09 season, to start the 08 season with at Daytona, because they have not been as consistent as they want to be. They're moving crew guys around, they're changing a lot of things. They're really kind of in a research and development mode right now.
Dave, you can add?
Yeah, the 41 of Reed Sorensen, he had a good race here in July to start with, but then things went awry. He actually had a very good qualifying lap, started third, but he tagged the wall when he did that in July. When he was asked after he qualified this time, did you touch the wall this time? He goes, no, maybe I should have, because I qualified 12th. The car right now, very good for him. He just picked up the 11th position. Alan?
And Elliott Sadler, who just passed for that spot, sliding back a little bit. Elliott had a good line here the other day. He said, we're in a chase of our own. We're chasing the handling issues that have plagued us all season long. They have struggled to get the back tires of that 19 car hooked up in the last several races. Elliott slipping back a little bit in the opening going here today. There's a little struggle to keep the back end hooked up, huh?
We can really see the rear end of the 19 car, Elliott Sadler, really getting loose like you mentioned, Alan, getting up off the corners. He just has got to work on that. Now, NASCAR is going to throw this mandatory caution about 6 laps at lap 35. And you got to believe that's what's on these drivers' minds right now. They know their cars aren't right. They're going to bring them in and work on them.
One of the struggles with this car is trying to get the front wheels to turn in the middle of the corner and then to hook up the back tires off the corner.
Clint Boyer now lapping some of the traffic. That is Kyle Petty in the 45 car. He will go by. And, of course, one of the big stories this week was the fact that Petty Enterprises could end up merging with Gillette Everham Motorsports. No, folks, Petty will not go away. It will still be Petty Enterprises, but that's the way they can actually have a 4-car partnership team that'll help everyone. It will be in Dodges. And, of course, that's the big story about possible merger there, a partnership with Gillette Everham and Petty Enterprises. And that would mean that there probably would be a huge help for that team overall.
Anytime you can add another team and you get some more brains working on this problem or on the, trying to get your car set up and going race to race, it's always a benefit.
One of the chasers here, Kyle Busch, dropping back a little bit. He started back, now being shown back in the 19th position. I guess if you're going to have trouble, best to have it now, because you know that mandatory yellow is coming in 3 laps.
And they get a chance to work on their cars and even maybe make a little strategy move. Alan?
Yeah, just trying to get that car figured out a little bit is Kyle Busch in the opening laps here, Andy. And for this race team, he's trying to get the front end to grip in the center of the corner and the back end to grip off the corner. That's a lot to deal with in one of these cars. Tomorrow's all at once, but Kyle Busch continuing to try and feed his team information so they can make adjustments on this stop.
I'll tell you what, guys, I know that's a lot to deal with, that's for sure, but he's got to get it done pretty quick here. He's probably talking about it because right now he's about 0.3 of a second off the leaders. And at this racetrack, guys, that's a lot.
Kyle Busch, the former winner here, won in the spring of 2006, became the youngest driver to ever win in NASCAR Nextel Cup competition at the tender age of 21 years and 2 months. Clint Boyer, the leader. Kurt Busch in the 2 car. Just about 2 seconds back. There's Kurt coming down the straightaway there in that 2 car, which always ran well here. In fact, the very first driver to win here at this racetrack was in that 2 car. His name was Rusty something. Wallace.
It may be that Clint Boyer's in traffic, but Kurt Busch is definitely catching him a little bit here.
Tony Stewart in 3rd position. Tony, a 2-time winner at this racetrack, has won 3 times in 2007. Missed the chase a year ago. There's Martin Truex. Brand new car for Truex, who won at Dover early in the year, picking up his first ever win in Cup. Saved that car, by the way, for Dover next week. Thinks he got a really good car there. Thinks this car can get it done here at New Hampshire today.
Well, that's the one cool thing about these cars, guys. You can run them all the racetracks.
This competition yellow NASCAR is putting out because of the rain yesterday that didn't allow any practice on the racetrack, and they didn't get a chance to look at the tires, to get rubber on the track, or to work on race setup.
It's really for these crews to try to adjust on their car a little bit because they didn't get that practice. I think the tire's okay. We saw the truck race yesterday and didn't seem to be any issues with tires. So these guys are just going to tune their cars up. Maybe some of these guys will have something for Clint Boyer on the restart.
Well, looks like the guy that's going to get the lucky dog is going to be Ward Burton. Right now he's the first guy a lap down, so that's one gainer for Ward. He's going to work on the car now and get that thing better so he doesn't have to use it again.
This will be an opportunity for some of these guys in, say, mid-pack to roll the dice on maybe getting 2 tires, or some of them even just get fuel and jump back out there and try to gain some track position.
All those teams poised up on the wall. Many of these guys are former college or professional athletes. They know you've got to be a good athlete to carry a tire, an air wrench, and dance around that car and get back in less than 14 seconds. And this is critical. Pit stop number 1 in the chase.
And these heart rates are up. These guys right here are getting ready to pit this car. They want to make sure it's solid here.
Teams are coming down to 45 miles an hour. Let's head down to Alan Bestwick.
Well, Kurt Busch pits from second place. An air pressure adjustment down to the left side tires to help the car rotate better in the center of the corner, looking for a clean stop from his crew.
Just 4 ounces of air less in the right rear tire for Martin Truex Jr. this time. Tight in the middle, just like last time. That air pressure adjustment should help it turn. Mike.
Ryan Newman radioing in not too long ago saying loose in, loose off, tight in the center. They'll make an air pressure adjustment and raise the track bar. Jamie?
And your leader, Clint Boyer, in. He said he's a little tied up on. They're going to put 4 stickers on it. That should free it up. He's down and away, guys. So he remains the leader.
2 tires for the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, that was being shown back in 28th position. Look at him all the way up into the top 10, 2 tires, and there's your first gamble. You talked about it, Andy. Some crew chiefs were going to gamble, and indeed Robbie Reiser has done just that. First pit stop for the day, a competition yellow on lap 35. Take a look at the crew camera here. This is the right rear tire carrier, Zach McGowan from Springboro, Ohio, getting it done for Robbie Gordon. Great effort on pit road. You're watching ESPN on ABC. This telecast is available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Glad to have you back with us. Pace car pulls away. Perfect timing. We head down for the restart at New Hampshire after the first scheduled stop of the day, a competition yellow. Clint Boyer has led 38 of the 39 laps thus far, and he will lead him down. And looking inside is the 19 car of Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler on that last pit stop, he took 2 right side tires only. That got him a lot of track position. And that's what you really need to do here, because left side tires aren't that important.
Well, we're getting ready to find out here with Elliott Sadler. He's got a couple good cars on the outside of him. If he can just maintain a top 10 spot out of this, it'll probably pay off for him.
Gaggle of cars, a recipe for possible disaster. They were 2 and 3 wide. In fact, 4 wide a moment ago. Harvick trying to knife his way up, looking on the inside of Truex. Dale Earnhardt Jr. being shown in the 10th position. He gained 9 spots on that pit stop just a moment ago.
And that Junior, he's had a great car all year long. You know, he's had those engine problems. Look at this. It was 3 wide just before this shot, guys. Side by side going at the corner, and they're taking advantage of all these fresh tires.
Here comes Denny Hamlin coming up under Jeff Green.
11 car, Denny Hamlin won this race back in the spring, had a really good race car, but also had great pit strategy, taking 2 tires at the very end, now trying to work underneath the 26 car of Jamie McMurray.
Now, Elliott's holding on pretty decent on that outside lane right now. Just like you said, Andy, that's the absolute scenario he needs to play now. Try to keep this thing in the top 10 with just those right side tires, but he's getting kind of hung out to dry. Alan?
Rusty, I just talked to Ray Evernham, the team owner, who's up on the box helping with the strategy today. He told me he felt like they had about a 15th place car right now, but they want to try and keep track position for most of the day. That's the reason for the 2-tire call.
I talked to Ray Evernham down in the garage today, and he was talking about that practice they missed really cost this team because they had some really neat things they wanted to try. They felt like they could learn something from that and get this car moving in the right direction, but having Ray Evernham up on the box has always got to be an advantage.
Guys, the 83 car of Brian Vickers, just a moment ago you saw, he is not being scored because, well, now he is on pit road because he ran the paddle and did not heed the black flag, and now he has come on the pit road. Whoa, smoke out of McMurray's car as Hamlin takes the spot away on the inside.
I just started to say the 83 car, he's been really good in that car most of the year when the car does qualify for the race, but really off today.
I'll be there after the race.
11 car of Hamlin takes the 18 spot away, right in front of McMurray.
Two purple cars are going at it. A lot of smoke off that 26 again. We keep seeing those splitters again. Those things give everybody a lot of problems for smoke.
Oh, I see why they're racing so hard here.
Yeah, a little bumping and bagging. When you get drove in as a driver, you get hit in the door, it makes you mad. Like, who did that? I'm going to show this guy. The temperatures are all up right now, right off the bat. And you know what, honestly, that's just good side-by-side racing there. Denny's car slipped just a little bit, got in the side of McMurray. No harm, no foul.
Battle for 17th position. And now Denny Hamlin trying to make his move toward the front. Somewhat like what happened back in the spring here when he ended up leading 46 laps. He's gone by the 38 car of Gilliland, who was one of the lap cars. Back up front, Cliff Boyer has led twice for 45 laps, and if you're wondering why he hasn't led 46 laps, Kenny Schrader, by the way, stayed out to lead a single lap during that yellow flag, and that was a very important lap that he led.
This team's running their own race, too. Oh, we got the 10 car getting sideways.
Scott Riggs slow on the racetrack. That is one of the Gillette Evernham cars, and obviously he's got some issues with the back of the car. A tire going down or something broken suspension-wise.
Left side tires here, left side tire.
I started to say, looks like left rear flat. Yeah, left rear tire's flat on it right now, guys. He's just holding on.
He's had some contact with somebody else out here that knocked that tire, knocked the air out of it. Oh, Regan Smith, yeah, he gets into him real hard here.
I mean, he crawled up on top of that tire. I mean, we see him bump occasionally, but Regan Smith's tires were off the ground on that one.
Scott Riggs does a great job not to spin out there with that tire down.
The tough part, everybody's probably hoping a caution would come out right there, but Riggs is going to go down a couple laps probably because of this problem.
Scott Riggs with a great run in this car tomorrow at Martinsville, finishing 8th early in the year, having troubles here, being hit, and that will cost him a couple laps on the racetrack. Out the back of the 0-1 of Regan Smith. There's the contact from behind by David Reagan. And then the bounces off the 10 car of Scott Riggs. Back in a moment.
This jam's red hot. Put a rock in the spot. If you like it or not, this jam's red hot.
The Big Bird in Philadelphia, grounded much of last season, has returned. Donovan McNabb tries to get the Eagles to 500. Clinton Portis leads the Redskins, who try to get to 2-0. Washington and Philadelphia at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN's Monday Night Football.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Jaws and Tony had great ball games. Joe Gibbs, a 3-time Nextel Cup Series championship owner, also a 3-time Super Bowl winner, and the head coach of the Washington Redskins, has 2 drivers in this chase, including the guy you're riding with right now, Tony Stewart. And Joe Gibbs trying to go 2-0 for the Redskins. Big win in overtime last week against the Miami Dolphins. Also trying to get Tony Stewart his 3rd Cup title, maybe the first one ever for Denny Hamlin. Here where the Gibbs cars are running right now. Tony Stewart 3rd, Denny Hamlin, who won this race back in the spring. Now both those top 2 cars are in the chase. And of course, J.J. Yaley being shown back in 22nd position. We saw the smoke from Yaley's car about 15 laps or so ago.
Kind of been tracking the progress of the 19 car Elliott Sadler. He lined up 2nd on that restart on those 2 tires. We're trying to see how good these 2 tires are going to be. He's lost quite a few spots now, but Matt Kenseth also took 2 tires, and he's only lost 1 spot since the restart. Started in 9th, restarted in 9th, and he's now 10th.
Dale, I'll tell you, what do you think about the two tires right now? To me, it looks like Elliott's sliding back, but Kent's is going forward.
Yeah, Rusty, I think the one thing that I've always told my crew chief is that if our race car is handling pretty well, then two tires is a pretty good idea. And I think that's what you see with Matt Kenseth's car, who was coming up through the pack before that pit stop. But Elliott was kind of sliding backwards from his starting position. It was a real chance they took, but I think they just wanted to see, and they probably won't try this again until they get their car handling better.
Well, one thing I've been noticing about Elliott's car, the left front corner of that car, as he exits the corner, is awful high in the air. We've talked earlier in our broadcast, a lot of guys are running big sway bars, but look how high this car is getting off the ground, and I got to believe that's really killing the handle on this car.
Yeah, I know that Elliott and them spent a lot of time yesterday talking about what they were going to do with their race car, and they have been fighting some handling issues with their cars at different type tracks. And as we watch his car versus even the 11 car right behind him, you can see that that left front corner stays down. And as a driver, you know, and I know I always thought that if I could feel that left front down, it really gave me a much better feel of the car and that I was more in control.
Sadler being shown back in the 15th position. That's Denny Hamlin, the 11 car, one of the Joe Gibbs cars, coming up behind him in 16th spot. Now back up front, it has been the Clint Bowyer show. Bowyer picking up his second career pole, won early in the year at Darlington, led the first 50 laps there, and the car began to fade a mite. He has led 58 laps here thus far early on and still has a car that looks awfully glued in on this racetrack.
Yeah, he's got a real fast car right now. Kurt Busch, although, was catching him about 2/10 a lap, and now Kurt started to slow down just a little bit. But these guys' lap times have been a little bit inconsistent, and I might have to blame that on the car tomorrow.
That car tomorrow has been a real challenge for these guys.
The older car, the more downforce, they can be more consistent. And this car tomorrow's not near as much downforce. They slide around a lot.
Kurt Busch, we mentioned the fact that he has won here both times in 2004. When he went on to win the championship. The 18 car, we talked about the smoke we've been seeing intermittently coming out of this Chevrolet that Joe Gibbs owns, and it sort of comes and goes, Andy.
We've been trying to see where it's coming from. Look here, maybe we can find out where it is. You see, this smoke is actually coming from the exhaust pipe. You know, that could be just a minor thing. It could be just a little bit of oil seeping down into the cylinders on deceleration when there's a lot of vacuum inside the engine pulling that oil in there. It could be nothing, but it might be something these guys can, you know, maybe have a little concern about later.
Yeah, you'll see this smoke on different cars throughout the race, and that one there, just like you said, Andy, appears to be engine-related smoke, but the car appears to be running good.
The best driver historically at this racetrack has been the guy in the 31 car, Jeff Burton. He is the only four-time winner at this racetrack, and he has the record for leading the most laps. But he led every single lap in 2000, all 300 from start to finish. And but Jeff Burton, Mike, is really starting to slip and slide here back in the pack.
That's right, Doc, and that's because they're experiencing some of the same problems they had in practice on Friday. I spoke with Scott Miller this morning, and he told me they were lacking front grip. That's exactly what Jeff Burton's complaining about right now. Just doesn't have that grip off the corner right now, and they really need it. You know, Scott Miller told me it's important that they win a race during this chase, although it's been won before without winning a race. He says with the depth of this field, they need to win a race. Jeff Burton says in order to do that, though, this team really needs to step it up. He doesn't feel like they've been fast enough the last several weeks.
A lot of frustration thus far here early on with that AT&T Chevrolet. Let's take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. You know, which chase driver without a past win at New Hampshire has the best chance of winning here today? Could it be Clint Bowyer, who's our leader, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, or Martin Truex Jr.? Just text the word crew to 191 on your wireless phone and send in your answer. The results will be shown later on in the race. Leading Rookie of the Year contender, Juan Pablo Montoya, in the 42 car, making a move, and lots of words about some former Indy 500 winners. Sam Hornish came here this weekend trying to make his Cup debut for Roger Penske. Didn't quite work it out, although he was very good in practice. Didn't make it in qualifying. Dario Franchitti, or it is the newly crowned Indy Racing League champion, will come here and run in NASCAR Nextel Cup for Chip Ganassi in 2008. And also earlier in the week, Jacques Villeneuve the former Indy 500 winner and Formula One world champion, testing a Toyota at Talladega. We are told that he will be a full-time contender here and competitor here in 2008. We could have 4 former Indy 500 winners lining up to run next year's Daytona 500. And wow, this goes to show you this series keeps getting better and better.
Take a look at Dale Jr. He has not slowed down a bit. He has been flying through this field right now. Caution flag on the racetrack right now, guys.
4-car of Ward Burton has spun around and come into contact. That will bring out the second caution flag today. Ward, a former winner at this racetrack back in 2002.
Looks like he's got a left front tire down. I don't know if that's caused after he hit the wall. Or maybe caused him to hit the wall.
Yeah, 88 car. Kenny Wallace gets a free pass. That's my little brother driving that car. Pretty proud of him getting that opportunity to drive that car for Robert Yates this time.
Let's show you what happened to Ward Burton's car number 4. This happened right in front of the leaders. Watch the left side of your screen.
It's like he just lost it getting in the corner.
And a lot of guys have problems getting into turn 3. He talked about our in-race reporter, Kevin Harvick, saying that turn 3 was a tough corner for him, locking up the rear wheels. That could happen here.
Pit road will be open. Again, we've had 1 pit stop this afternoon, that coming on a competition yellow at lap 35. And now the Chevy of Ward Burton limping back to pit road. Pace car has picked up Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart, the top 3, as they should be coming down for their second stop of the day. Top 6 drivers in the field right now are all 6 drivers in the chase. The first non-chase competitor is Ryan Newman back in 7th position. They come down at 45 miles an hour. Let's go down to Alan Bestwick.
And again, Kurt Busch pits from 2nd place. Discussion on the radio, they're expecting to see a lot of teams take 2 tires here, but being halfway through a fuel run, this team will take 4 and a slight chassis adjustment to help the front grip, Dave.
Kevin Harvick's crew is giving him a chassis adjustment as well. A little loose at the start, but tightening up as the run went along. It'll be a 4-tire stop for Harvick. Mike.
Last time in, Ryan Newman, they made an adjustment on the track bar, went up 2 rounds. They go up yet another round to free him up in the center. Jamie?
And Clint Boyer, the man who's dominated this race every lap, comes in 4 tires fuel, no changes to his race car. He's down and away and loses a couple spots. Guys?
Scrambling off pit road, Tony Stewart gains a couple spots. Greg Zipadelli and company doing great pit work. Jeff Gordon up 6 positions. It's the highest we've seen him today. Ryan Newman, you heard about that track bar adjustment a moment ago. Clint Boyer, who was the leader, losing 3 spots. Jamie McMurray, great work on pit road, and McMurray for that Larry Carter crew. Back with a restart in a moment. We welcome you back to the Sylvania 300. Race number 1 in the 2007 chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Under caution for the second time today, coming out on lap number 67, Ward Burton's car. Spinning around, drivers have been on and off pit road. Tony Stewart only took 2 right side tires. Jeff Gordon took 2 as well, and so did Ryan Newman. Those 3 cars, 1, 2, and 3 at the top of the field as the pace car peels away, and we head down to the green flag.
Points for Stewart, leading the lap. And we'll see now what these 2 tires are going to do. We got 2 tires on these the leaders up front. The first 2 cars got Clint Boyer back there. The first car on 4 tires. It's going to be a good indication of how this is going to work.
You just can't tell you how important getting 5 bonus points are. You see Tony Stewart jump out front there, but as you said, Andy, the 07 car right now, he's got 4 tires on. The 3 cars in front of him got 2 tires on. I can't wait to see what's going to happen here.
Let's listen in to Clint Boyer's radio.
Go ahead and get in your mind right now. We don't have to drive this car no harder to get back to the front in a hurry. You're so much faster than everybody right now. You just keep the fenders on it. When you get back up through there, you're going to drive right on by them.
You can see there why a spotter is so important. He's just as much a coach for Clint Boyer as a crew chief is up on top of the roof.
Yeah, but this is the very first time that the 07 car has really been stuck in traffic. He's had clear track almost all the time. And so let's take a look look at how this dirty air affects these cars in these shorter tracks.
For more information on team communications, log on to ESPN.com. Search word communications. Boy, you're trying to make a move now inside of Newman for position.
And that's 4 tires in the 07 car of Clint Boyer versus Ryan Newman. Jamie?
Well, Rusty, you guys are talking about spotters, and Mike Dillon is the spotter for Clint Boyer, and usually Clint needs coaching. He wants to hear somebody talk to him every lap, every race. When he was leading this race, you didn't hear much chatter at all. Clint didn't say one word, but now that he's moved back a few spots, you're hearing Mike Dillon over the radio, and that's what we heard just a few moments ago.
You know, I in my ear when I was driving the car, I like to hear a cheerleader. I like to hear my lap times, guys pumping them up. But I don't like to hear people tell me how to drive the car. Tell me where the leader's running. Is he running high or low? Don't be telling me let out of gas early, picked up the gas, stuff like that. That irritated me.
It seems like different drivers have different ways they want to hear from their spotters. Some guys actually want to hear that. They want to hear, hey, you're getting in the corner a little bit too deep, back off a little bit earlier. But, you know, when I was with Earnhardt, he didn't want to hear any of that stuff. He just wanted to hear where these cars were, how far behind he was, just like you, Rusty.
No, I don't really know for sure, because you do, but I heard Earnhardt, he never did say anything. Is that right?
He didn't like you talking.
99 of Carl Edwards, we documented the fact that he's had a pretty rough weekend. Lost his primary car due to a problem with the wheel hop and had to go to a backup car. In the first laps he got on the track with a backup car, he went out to qualify. What a job he did putting his car 11th on the starting grid.
And now he's driven the car up into the top 5. This team's done a great job of recovering.
Seems like every time he would get in the Busch Series and have to show up late for qualifying with no practice in that car, he jumped right in there and qualified very well. And he's pretty good with not having practice. He just gets up in that wheel, attacks it, and gets it done.
Are you saying practice is overrated?
No, I'm not saying. I always love practice. Practice for me, I used every single lap.
Looking back at Jamie McMurray, who's having a great run here. McMurray now being shown in the 6th position. Let's run along with our Wrangler onboard telemetry.
These guys running over 100 miles an hour just off the corner. Going down the straightaways, getting to 150 plus. Allen?
Just talking about Carl Edwards. When all the cars are running about the same speed, how do you pass them? Do something that they didn't. So Carl Edwards' team was one of those that took just right side tires. They gained a few spots on pit road. They were running around 11th place just before the stop. You see they moved up now, trying to hold that track position. Carl reporting the front end grip on his car, lacking a little bit from what it was before that 2-tire change.
You know, take a look at the telemetry here, guys. 9,400 RPMs going at the corner, and they're not in the throttle much in the center. Take a look at this, down to about 5,300 RPMs, and folks, that's very low RPM, and they accelerate way up. Because the straightaways here are very, very long, they can do that.
DJ, I wanted to ask you about the rear wing on these race cars. We see it and we talk about it, but specifically on these short tracks, what exactly does that rear wing, what role does it play?
Well, basically, if you took the thing off, you'd find these guys driving down into the corner and probably spinning out. You think that looking at it, that it might not be that big of a deal, but it is creating downforce for you. As a driver, me looking in that mirror and seeing that wing versus the spoiler that we normally had, I don't feel as good about that wing personally, that's going to hold my car down and give me the downforce that I want to drive this car as hard. And that's what makes driving these cars so difficult. And you heard them talking about all running the same speed. I think that's the one thing that's difficult about these cars is that you just don't feel that you have that downforce to really rely on.
Dale, one thing I want to ask you, the rear wing sticking up in your rear window, can you see out of the back of that car clear versus a rear spoiler?
Now, great question, Rusty, and I'll tell you, you can't see out the back as good, and it's hard to pick up who that is you're racing that's come up behind you, because obviously you race different people differently. And the other thing is, it's hard to see through these cars too. I'll attribute that to part of the reason that I got in an accident last week at Richmond with the car that we're looking at, Jamie McMurray right there. You can't see through these cars to see what's going on up ahead of you. You rely totally on your spotter. If something happens up there, a lot of times it's too late. So I think that has created some problems. It's made driving these cars much more difficult.
These cars are so big, you know, the greenhouse is so big, they have to get that wing stood up in the air just to make it work. They've got to get it up in the airstream. Here you can see that airstream coming over the 12 car, and if you don't have that wing high enough, you can see that it won't really catch enough air to make downforce. So it has to be up there pretty good.
You know, people say on a short track, downforce doesn't mean that much. Well, I'm here to tell you, on a short track, downforce is everything. You can pull up behind the car, get her very, very loose, or you can pull up behind him and lose your front end. So downforce, whether it's a fast track like Daytona or Talladega, or right here at New Hampshire, is everything.
I know a lot of people think aerodynamics are overrated in stock car racing, but I promise you it's not. It's one of the big elements.
We talk about downforce. The 07 looks like John Force. So he comes off that corner talking about Clint Boyer, and he has so much horsepower. He just drove by the 24 of Jeff Gordon, and now Boyer is setting his sights on Tony Stewart. Can he catch him? We'll find out when we come back to New Hampshire in a moment. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. Great crowd on hand here watching round one of the NASCAR 2007 Chase to the Nextel Cup. A year ago in this first race, all 10 chase positions changed. And guess what, folks? Here, after 90 laps, they've all 12 changed. Take a look at where everybody has moved to, with the exception maybe of Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart right now, as they're running, would be our leader in the Chase for the Nextel Cup.
And Jerry, you said all 12 changed. They have changed, but the two of them are kind of back in position, the 24 car and the 2 car are Kurt Busch, but they've been out of that position a lot. So this thing is anybody's ball game right now. It's all over the place.
Looks like his 22 car may have a flat tire. He does. He's got a flat left rear tire.
This is critical because this is one of the teams that's battling to get in that top 35 in the owner's points, and my goodness.
Jack it up. You got to pick it up, guys. Got to pick it up. Pick it up.
These guys are trying to stay in the top 35 in points. This is going to hurt them a little bit.
That is important because the top 35 in owners get automatically qualified for the first 5 events of 2008. And of course, the first event is the big one, the Daytona 500. Here's what happened a moment ago to Dave Blaney.
Well, these are the 2 cars that are racing for that top 35 spot. Ken Schrader in the 21 car is inside the top 35, and the 22 car is just outside the top 35.
I'm trying to take a look at the 22 car of Dave Blaney and find out how he lost his left rear flat right now. I haven't seen that yet, but there's one thing I do know. He was only 19 points out of the 35th position. This is really going to drop him right now. Probably clear down to close to 37th right now.
Hey guys, you know, something that we may look at, I saw them, they're racing really close. You see the splitter on the front of these cars that's down there, and it's kind of out at the front. And I'm not sure that that's not causing some of these flat tires. These guys race really close. We never had to really worry about that before. You could get the fender up against there maybe, and it really wouldn't do a whole lot, but sometimes it would knock things out of whack a little bit. But I think these splitters maybe are cutting these tires down. I'm not sure that's what happened there, but we saw it earlier with the 10 car.
And that splitter is really a bulletproof piece of material that these guys have on the front of the car, and it can cause a lot of damage if you get inside that wheel area and maybe knock that valve stem out of there. Let's go down to our Dish Tech Center and talk to Tim Brewer about this.
Andy, you're exactly right. Folks, this thing is made by the Milliken Company, and it's made out of a thermoplastic. What it is, you see the bullet holes right here? It's a very durable piece, but the bullet holes, they didn't penetrate the other side. What's more important, these people actually build bulletproof equipment for our troops fighting the war, but they build very good components for race cars also. Andy?
That thing really is bulletproof, Tim.
Every time I go down to the Dish Tech Center, I learn something. I had no idea that thing was so strong, a bullet wouldn't pass through it, so that's just amazing.
For more information on splitters, log on to ESPN.com. Search word Tech Center, so you get a great look from our Chevy Cutaway car. And now I'm just glad we didn't have bulletproof bumpers back when you were driving.
Well, I tell you, if I just needed a bulletproof front nose, and I'd have wore that thing out more than the rest of those competitors.
Now, we put that on Earnhardt's car, that bulletproof nose.
Well, the guys in their 22 right now, Dave Blaney's crew chief and his team are telling them, hold on, man, we need those points. But back up front, Tony Stewart is set sail right now. He's got a fast car. In fact, that last time by, 0.2 of a second faster than the second place car.
Pretty good battle developing here between the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 17 of Matt Kenseth. This is for 12th position. Remember, Kenseth started back in 30th and even struggled early on, but after a 2-tire change and a little adjustments on pit road, now he's becoming a factor in the top 15.
There's 4 chase guys right here running together. You see these 3 right here. Up just ahead of these guys is Martin Truex Jr. Keep seeing the smoke coming off this 11 car. A lot of cars have had the smoke coming off of them. I don't know if it's a splitter hitting the ground or the tires are rubbing, but you see a lot of smoke from just about every car out there at some point in time.
just started to say how Denny Hamlin's car has been so loose, but the front end of the 5 car has been so tucked up underneath them. Coming off the corner, he's really got that car loose.
Alan?
Well, it's already been a better day for Kyle Busch starting this championship chase than it was a year ago. Last year, on the second lap of the race, he had contact with another car and the wall, and his day unraveled from there. You could say his championship hopes unraveled from there. He's off to a better start, moving up, just looking for some rear grip in the car going into the corners. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin just moves into the 11th spot. He started 14th. You know, he has some more experience under his belt after last year's chase. He was the rookie. But his car today has been all right. But on that last pit stop, his own teammate Tony Stewart pulled in right in front of him as Denny wanted to exit, and he got stuck there. He had to sit and wait for Tony Stewart to make his pit stop before Denny could pull out. They lost a couple spots there, but he's working his way back up, guys.
Right behind Denny Hamlin, you see the 16 car, and that is Greg Biffle. And Greg Biffle, his best finish has been a 5th this year, and as good a race car driver as Biffle is, you got to wonder how important are these final 10 races to be able to build some momentum for this team for 08.
This guy drives super hard, and you can see the little bit of damage on the right side of his car where he should maybe scrape the wall. That's just how hard he drives. He drives his car and gets every inch coming off these corners. He doesn't leave anything out there.
When you take a look at another fellow now, Greg Biffle, he didn't make the chase for the championship, and this guy just wants a win. This is another team we're talking about that's been off a little bit, that's got to get their momentum back going again, and he doesn't care about those guys now. He just wants to win this thing himself for his team.
Biffle's best finished 5th at Bristol back in the spring, and he likes this racetrack. He likes the tracks that have the long straightaways and the tight turns, trying to use the horsepower and that Roush Fenway engine to move on the inside of the 11 car, and that, of course, is for the 15th position.
This car has posed so many challenges for these teams. And keeping that splitter, that lower part of that front end off the racetrack has really been one of the things they fight. And I see this smoke popping out of all these cars. It used to be, you know, with the old car, you see some smoke coming out of the 11 car right there. With the old cars, you see a little puff of smoke. It's usually that tire rubbing the fender, and that's no big deal. It doesn't hurt the car at all. But when this splitter hits the ground, it really hurts the car's performance.
And the splitter being sealed to the ground like the front of the 25 car is does a lot also. And the reason these guys have got these front ends so low is one thing they're using a lot is the front anti-roll bar. That anti-roll bar is really keeping the cars flatter, and the size of that thing is completely different from the old car. And it's really made a big effect on the way these guys handle.
The car that had all the momentum coming in here was this one here. Jimmy Johnson, back-to-back wins. 6-time winner in 2007. Atop the point standings coming in, but right now Jimmy Johnson being shown not in the lead. He's back in 6th position, but he's coming. Right now he may have the quickest car on the racetrack. And who is he chasing? This guy here, Joe Gibbs racing driver, Tony Stewart, the 2-time NASCAR Nextel Cup champion. Stewart has led the last 35 laps. Can he hang on, because Jimmy Johnson is coming?
I'm Stan Verrett, and this is the SportsCenter Minute, powered by Vizio. Tiger Woods is closing in on the first ever FedEx Cup championship of the PGA Tour. At the Tour Championship in Atlanta, he leads by 3 shots at 19 under in the final round. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has asked the New England Patriots to turn over all files, tapes, and notes related to the disciplinary action against them. Patriots were penalized for illegally taping the Jets signals last week. The Associated Press College Football poll, USC remains the #1 team in the country. They beat Nebraska 49-31. Alabama is number 16 in the top 25 for the first time since 2005 after they went over Arkansas. That's the SportsCenter Minute. I'm Stan Verrett.
Big sports weekend, Tiger on the move. And how about the Tide, the Crimson Tide last night? And Tony here, Tony the Tiger, was the leader, but not anymore because the 07 of Clint Boyer made the pass just a moment ago. Here's what happened as Tony was trying to hang on, and watch the 07 car so stout coming off the corner.
Now, one thing you got to remember now, the 07 car, Clint Boyer's got 4 sticker tires that last pit stop versus 2 tires of Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and you see Tony he just kind of gives that spot to Clint right here. I don't think you'll see him do that late in the race if they have this same strategy going on.
You know, one thing that's on my mind right now, the 2 tires for Stewart really held up good. You got to believe the crew chiefs down there in pit box are watching these guys right now and thinking about, do I need to do this late in the race to get that track position?
Clint Bowyer's had the best car on equal tires to all these guys, so it's no surprise that he did drive the car to the lead when he had 4 fresh tires and some of these guys only had 2.
How about Reed Sorensen in the 41 car? Here's a young man that's got something to prove, I believe. Reed has gotten really racy in the last half of this year, both in the Busch car and the Cup car.
This is a team that has something to prove. Jimmy Elledge, crew chief on this car. He's a very good crew chief. He worked for me. This is Reed Sorensen. Got a lot of talent. This team's got a lot of potential that they really need to realize, and they're starting to do that. They look pretty strong right here in this race, and maybe they've got 10 more here. Maybe they'll get them a good top 5 finish or maybe a win before the end of the season.
Matt Kenseth, one of the 2 drivers, has been in all 4 chases for the Nextel Cup. Talking about the driver of the 17 car, but has not won a single chase race. In front of him, the 26 car.
J.D. McMurray, he struggled a little bit of late. You know, he won that big race in Daytona. Larry Carter came over on the team and really helped this team a ton. Everybody knows how talented Larry Carter is. Yeah, but since then, they've had a little bit of struggle, a little problem. But it looks like he's back on track right now. The car's running good. He's in the 10th position.
The 8 car and the 99 car, Earnhardt Jr., not in the chase in 2007, but he said, I want to be a spoiler. I want to go out there. Now there's no pressure on us. I want to win a bunch of these races here in the final 10. Mike?
And you're absolutely right, Doc. There's been a lot of frustration, obviously, in the 8 camp, but not necessarily because they didn't make the chase. I spoke with Tony Eury Jr. this morning, and he said he was upset Sunday morning, but not necessarily because they didn't qualify for the chase, but because they had their 5th motor failure. His frustration comes from the fact that none of the failures they've had this year have been duplicate problems. That's part of the problem. The other one is the perception. The perception is that the 8 team is the only car at DEI having these motor problems, and he says that's just not true. If you look at Martin Truex, sure, he's had 2 motor failures in a race, but he also had 2 motor problems that they found on race morning. So in total, Martin Truex has actually had 4 motor failures as well. So it's been a problem for DEI across the board. Right now, Dale Jr. not completely satisfied with his car, still a little bit tight in the corner.
Well, I believe that this engine problem these guys have been having of late in the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to go away next year. It really will, because Richard Childress Racing and Dale Earnhardt Incorporated have merged their engine departments. They're going to be working together, and I don't think these failures are going to be much around any longer.
I mean, these guys are still working on this thing, and the problem is just like he was talking about there, the timing of these issues. When they have this problem with the 8 car, it seems like he's always running for the win or in the top 5. And this is just what just highlights it even more. If you can have that problem, like you say, before the race starts, you can change the engine, then it's not that big a deal. But when you have it in a race, especially late like he did last week, it just kills the team.
Speaking of things going away, there's a press conference on Wednesday in Dallas, and when they anticipate they will announce that Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s new number will be 88. In 2008, they will announce his sponsors, soft drink and energy drink. Here's the 99. Speaking of energy, what about the efforts for Carl Edwards? Has never won at this racetrack, but coming in a backup car, qualified this car 11th overall. Edwards making the chase for just the 2nd time in his career. Earlier in our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, we asked you which of the drivers who have not won a race at New Hampshire International Speedway do you think has the best chance of winning here today? Was it Bowyer, Edwards, Kenseth, or Truex Jr.? Now, when we asked you the question, Clint Bowyer had dominated by leading the first 79 of 84 laps. How'd the voting go?
Well, how about that, Carl Edwards? 45% of the vote, but pretty good with Bowyer, too, and that's not a bad selection because Bowyer's leading the race right now.
Carl Edwards gets the vote. His 7th trip here to this racetrack. He has best finished 2nd overall. We asked Carl Edwards about his involvement and his thoughts on this competitive 10-race chase to the championship.
The key in the chase is to not have those things happen. You can't have a wreck in the race. You can't have an engine blow because I believe this chase, the depth of the field is such that it's going to be defined. The champion is going to be defined by the guy who has the least bad luck.
It's all about being consistent, guys. I guess you don't have to win the races, but you got to be able to be there and maybe get a top 5 or 6 finish.
Well, right now he's being really consistent. After using that backup car, the 99 car, Carl Edwards you're talking about, he crashed it in practice, wheel hopped it, but he's got it handling good now. He just went around the outside of Kurt Busch in the 2 car.
Yeah, got it under control. Got to do something.
The 2 we're hearing may have a problem. What is it, Alan?
Heard over the team radio and just confirmed with crew chief Pat Trice tires, and they think they have lost a cylinder on the engine of this car. That means they're running on 7. Their quarter speeds won't be any worse than anybody else's, but down these long New Hampshire straightaways, oh boy.
And when you lose a cylinder, too, the worst thing that can happen is it destroyed the rest of the engine and quit running completely, and I'm sure that's what he's worried about now.
This is the same thing that happened to his teammate Ryan Newman just a couple of races ago at California. Boy, that has got to be worrying the guys in this pit, Pat Tryson and company, for exactly what happens when you lose a cylinder. Let's go down to our ESPN Dish Tech Center and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. Hey, these 358 cubic inch engines, 8 cylinders. Believe it or not, 45 cubic inches. You remove one of these plug wires, you just took 105 horsepower out of the engine. What we've got over here at the touch screen, what we think happened to the motor, come over here, valve related. Like I said, you take one of them out of the equation, you're looking at, like I said, 105 horsepower, but the valve right here, when it gets bent, breaks off eventually, shuts that cylinder down. If that valve goes back up in the manifold, he might run for a little while, but remember, 9,200 RPMs, not going to run very long. Jerry?
Tim, the only thing that could happen right here for good for this two team is for that valve head to maybe stick up inside the head and not go anywhere. But what happens 9 times out of 10 or even more often than that is that thing will go down in there and start banging around, and it destroys the cylinder, and then it starts going from one cylinder to the next, and then it destroys the complete engine.
Well, one thing right now that Pat Tryson and the team are really hoping for is something simple as a plug wire might have fell off this car. If a plug wire, a spark plug wire came disconnected from the spark plug, that's going to lose 105 horsepower like Tim Brewer just said also. So they got their fingers crossed, but if you see smoke coming out of this thing, that's a different story.
For more information on cylinders, you can log on to ESPN.com, search word Autotech. Well, a Chevy in the top 3 spots here after 125 of 300 laps. It is Gordon and Stewart who are chasing Clint Boyer, looking for his first ever NASCAR Nextel Cup win.
Playoff fever continues tonight as the Yankees and Red Sox meet at Fenway Park. Friday night, a 6-run 8th inning gave New York Game 1. Saturday, Josh Beckett was dominant and Boston took Game 2. Now tonight, the Rocket, Roger Clemens, meets up with Kurt Schilling in the series finale. First pitch, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. Now, let's go back to Loudon, New Hampshire. And here's Jerry Clark.
Thank you, John. John, Joe, and Peter Gammons up just down the road about an hour away at Fenway for what is a big weekend of sports here in New England. Brent?
Yeah, Doc, it really is a huge weekend when you think about the Yankees and the Red Sox. Greatest rivalry in all of baseball as the hunt for October continues. And tonight on ESPN, the rubber match, Game 3. 2 games that folks are already talking about. The Yankees winning 1, then the Red Sox yesterday. And they're close by Foxborough. What a matchup. The Chargers and the Patriots. Last year, the Patriots knocked them out of the playoffs. And then you come northwest here to Loudon. And there's one point we want to make about the seating capacity of these 3 wonderful venues. You're looking at the largest of the 3. And Kevin Harvick with some problems right now. You can see that right front as we go back to the booth now and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Big-time concern for one of our chase contenders, Kevin Harvick. You saw the tire down on the right side. He was just talking about how well the car was running just a few laps ago. Dave.
And, Doc, we were about 8 laps from their scheduled pit stop under green here, so this is not incredibly poor for him right now, although running around the track slowly cost him a lot of time. That right front tire definitely down. The car, as far as its handling, had gone just a little bit loose on him. They wanted some wedge back into the car to help that situation. They did not need that extra time with that right front tire going down.
They can recover from this if it'll cycle through green flag pit stops. But this is a little bit of a disadvantage for these guys because they had to slow down so much to get to the pits.
Well, right now he's got to hope that no caution is going to come out right in the next 8 to 10 laps. That's the pit window when everybody else is going to be coming down pit road. Not a real bad thing for Harvick right now. In fact, he could come out leading the race because those new tires has got him going around the track so fast right now compared to the rest of the competitors. It might work out on a positive side.
One thing that worries me is what caused the right front to go down. That's what I would be as worried about as anything. If it's maybe excessive brake heat, they may need to be talking to Kevin about maybe easing up on the brake.
There are 26 cars on the lead lap. Now, the 29 car has come back out of the pits in 36th position. He is the last car being shown 1 lap down. As you said, he needs this this green flag pit cycle to continue. He does not want to see a caution flag here in the next 15 to 18 laps. Clint Boyer being shown as a leader, sliding beneath the 00 car to put David Rudeman a lap down. Aerial coverage from high above New Hampshire International Speedway, brought to you by our good friends at Best Buy. Pit stops taking place, the 15 car. On pit road, Paul Menard. Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate, headed down pit road at 45 miles an hour toward you, Mike Nassaro.
And Paul Menard, you saw he was in. He was looking for a little side-by 4-tire change there. Here's his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Team going to work on the right side of that car. The main complaint for Jr., a little bit tight, and he could not run the bottom groove. They're making a track bar adjustment and a 4-tire change. 19 car has some trouble as he spins entering pit road.
Fortunately, Elliott Sadler was able to get it righted and pulled right into his pit there at the upper end, and now working on the right side. Sadler had been running as high as 4th early in the afternoon. Great pit strategy. They'll put 4 tires on his car. 16 pits, Jamie Little.
And Greg Biffle, you guys talked about him. Started 9th, having a solid run here today. Remember, 2 years ago, he almost won this championship. He failed to make the chase, guys, but he's looking to get that first victory this year. Let's go to Dave.
Jimmy Johnson hits pit road. He said the center of the corner is off and awesome, but I just can't get back to the power as quick as I want to. They'll make a 4-tire change. There will be air pressure adjustment for him. Alan.
At Carl Edwards pits, running in the top 10. Remember this backup car, only 2 laps of practice before the race started. Actually, 2 laps, his time trial laps. 4-tire change, Dave.
Just a little loose off for Matt Kenseth, Alan. That's a 4-tire stop being completed right now. Air pressure adjustment on the 17 car.
Problem with David Stremmy's car, they are pushing this car. Andy, you've been there.
Yeah, they're out of fuel and they're trying to spray some ether down in the intake so it'll start back up. But these cars are hard to get started when they run out of fuel.
Dave.
And Martin Truex Jr. is coming in now. A long list of problems he discussed with crew chief Bono Mannion during that run. The main thing being that he needs grip in the middle of the corner. They'll make adjustments for that. It'll also be a 4-tire stop for this chaser. The 1 car finishing up the left sides now. Jack Trapson, he's gone. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart making his way down pit road. Remember, he took 2 tires on that first stop and took over the lead. We're told they are going to take 4 tires on this stop for Tony Stewart. And they're rolling out. Yep, he will indeed take 4 tires. And behind him, you see Jeff Gordon, the 4-time series champion, guys. He's been dealing with this forward bite issue. He said he needs more forward bite. He needs more drive off. You see it's a quicker stop for Jeff Gordon. He pulls away. And Tony Stewart's down and away as well. Making his way down, your leader, the man who's dominated all day, Clint Boyer in the 07. No changes expected, guys. This has been one of his best race cars all year. He's already led more laps today than he has all year combined. It's going to be right sides. They're going to move on over, put left sides on there for Clint Boyer. And it's a clean stop for Clint Boyer. And here comes Denny Hamlin in the purple machine. Guys, he's been working his way forward. He got hung up on his last pit stop. You can see it's clear sailing in front of him. Tony Stewart already made his stop. It's going to be right sides and left sides for Denny Hamlin. Guys, and no changes expected for him. Let's go back to Mike Nassaro.
Last time in, Ryan Newman opted for 2 tires to get some track position. This time, a 4-tire change on the 12th car. They'll make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and fuel for Newman.
More problems with cars having trouble on pit road. The 70 car, Johnny Sauter, can't get it fired, coming off that career best finish of 5th. Finally, they spray some gasoline in and get the car to fire, costing about 15 seconds. You see him going by the 40 car that's still sitting on pit road and actually going to push David Stremme back up pit road.
One difference I saw there is the 70 car had an actual container of fuel they were squirting down into the carburetor. These guys here just had ether like they were spraying into the intake manifold.
Well, this caution couldn't have come at a better time for Kevin Harvick, because look, he's back on the lap right now.
Casey Mears on pit road. We are cautioned. We haven't had but 2 cautions today. 1 on lap 35, 1 on lap 67 as we stay green. Casey Mears getting his pit stop done. Whoa. Now, we have not had a caution flag out because the incident situation on pit road. These guys were able to be out on a very wide pit road, and cars could get by on both sides.
If this was on the exit or something, you might see that they throw a caution because this car's in the way. But these cars are able to get around the 40 car, keeping the track green.
Yeah, but right now it was alluding to Kevin Harvick back there with the problem he had earlier. The caution flag, if it would have come out, it would have really hurt him. But these green flag pit stops now, the way it happened, has really helped Kevin.
This is Doug Reapy, the rear tire carrier on the 40 car of David Strayman. These guys have got to be exhausted. They pushed this car all the way down pit road, and NASCAR will not let you go all the way to the end past that line, and they made them back it up and head back up to their pits and try to get this car refired for Strimmy.
It's a real tough break for David Strimmy. He's a guy that's looking for a ride next year, and he wants to get all the laps he can out.
Back up front, the 07 of Clint Boyer. You heard Jamie say he's already led more laps today than he had led all year long. He had led just 83 laps total through the first 26 races. Today, he has led 4 times for 103 laps. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. We are under yellow for the 3rd time today. You see the cross flags. It is halfway, 150 laps in. Several cars on pit road, including Kevin Harvick. He was able to get back on that lead lap by virtue of everyone cycling through their pit stop. Now he gets a break by coming in under this yellow and gets back on the same sequence. Here's Jeff Burton, the 4-time winner, getting service on his Chevrolet. Big break for the 2 car.
Yeah, Kurt Busch is going to get his lap back now, and this gives him time to open the hood in that car and work on it and see what they can find wrong at least, because he's going to be at the back of the pack.
This can be a big break for Kurt Busch if they can find something wrong, but if they can't, there's not much they can do.
He was on 7 cylinders and had lost a lap to the leaders. Now he becomes the lucky dog and is able to go around and get the free pass to get back on the lead lap. The 18 car, we are being told, J.J. Yaley, too fast exiting pit road, and he will go back to the tail end of the lead lap in the Joe Gibbs car. Big break for one of the chasers, Kurt Busch, having trouble internally. You saw Tim Brewer saying maybe it's a plug wire, hope it's something simple, maybe it's something more significant inside the engine. Let's go down to Allen.
So the crew lifts the hood, and they want to look at those things. Corey Tucker, one of the car chiefs for the team, the chief mechanics, right center of the picture is one of the crew members under there looking. They're checking the plug wires. Kurt described the car to them as not popping or missing, but just being blah, as he described it on the radio. You see they have a temperature gauge underneath there also. They're checking the temperature of the cylinders with the temperature gauge to see if they can tell which one is cold, which one is the one that's not firing. That's a little gun, and the mechanic on the left of the screen.
All right, boys, get ready to start. Get the hood down. Get the hood down so we get plug the gas, plug the gas.
You hear the team, the crew chief, Pat Tryson, calling out the spotter as well, telling the team where the pace car is so they get back out without losing the lap they just gained by the free pass.
Alan, the key to this whole thing is trying to figure out which cylinder it is that's not firing, and then they can start trying to diagnose the problems. That's what they were using that temperature gauge for. They put it right on the exhaust pipes coming out of the engine, and if they find a cold one, that's the one that's not firing.
Crew trying to figure out if they've got the problem resolved, exactly what it is. Got to believe we're going to have him back in if they get a moment here. And while they decide what they're doing, let's check in with Susie Colbert for our race rundown.
And Jerry, a crucial issue because the NASCAR playoffs are on in the story in the FedEx race rundown. First of 10 races in the chase, 12 drivers qualified, 5 past champs running for the title. 2 first-timers in, including Clint Boyer, who is tired of being the only guy who hasn't run a race. He started on the pole and has led a ton of laps.
Clint Boyer's done an outstanding job. Like I say, he started out front. He's kept that race car clean. He's been fast all day, and he's marched his way back up to the front, even after pit stop.
Kevin Harvick came in seated 11th at the start of the chase, was running 6th on lap 133. The right front tire went flat.
Yeah, sometimes you're going to have these things happen, but if you can rebound from that, then you can keep yourself in the chase, and they've been able to do that.
Yeah, so far he's sitting there in 18th. And Doc, it's all about consistency in the chase.
You're exactly right, Susie. Clint Boyer trying to become the 4th first-time winner in 2007. He leads him down. And guys, the 3 drivers behind him that are chasing this hopeful first-time winner have combined for 7 NASCAR titles.
That's an incredible You know, when you think about that, guys, that's just something. How strong the front 10 guys are in this field. They're just incredibly fast. And right now, you see Jeff Gordon getting some track position and running down the 07. A Boyer, but look at all that smoke off a Green's car. I mean, it just really locked the wheels up getting into turn 3 there.
Yeah, it looked like Jeff Green locked up the right front wheel getting in the corner, which is kind of unusual. Usually they lock up the left front. I've seen a lot of smoke off these cars, especially after restart.
66 car is Jeff Green. Had one of his best runs of the year back in the spring where he finished 6th. Behind him, the 78 car. Now looking back, that is Joe Nemechek.
Guys are getting really racy right now. The 42 car, Juan Pablo Montoya, is the first car a lap down, so he's trying to get his lap back.
There's Montoya leading in the Rebestos Rookie of the Year point standings by a slim 14 points over David Reagan, getting a challenge from David Rudiman.
And Rudiman knows now, Jerry, that he's a lap down. He's the guy who's got a race to get that lap back, and they're going to be driving their brains out because Rudiman's trying to get around Juan Pablo Montoya right now to get in a position.
00 car is Rudiman, and a lot of speculation as to where he will end up in 2008. Very promising young talent, and we're told that he wouldn't mind staying with Michael Waltrip in this Toyota team, but his phone's been ringing pretty aggressively the last week or so.
Yeah, I know there's some teams down in the garage area that are looking at David Rudiman. I think Richard Childress has got a seat open maybe in his 4th car. This might be a good guy to put in a car for Richard Childress.
I think a lot of people look how David Rudiman drives the car. He never tears the car up. He's fast. He works on his car. Very knowledgeable and liked by a lot of people.
Andy, you've been an owner and been a very good judge of young talent. Would you put David Rudiman in a car if you still had a car in competition?
Absolutely. This is the kind of guy you want. He's a good bright young man. He's a good person to be around, and he's got a lot of talent. And you look at him week in and week out, he is probably the best Toyota driver that's on the racetrack. So definitely I would put David Rudiman in my car.
Hey guys, you talk about David Rudiman, and you know, I might be a little biased because I'm his teammate, and I'm not his agent, but I'm telling Michael Waltrip and Ty Norris right now, they need to get this guy signed back up. He's got a lot of talent, and he's actually better than what his race car is right now. You know, he's a really talented race driver, and hopefully we can keep him at Michael Waltrip Racing because I think he can bring victories in the championship in the years to come.
Well, Dale, they better start warming the pin up right now if they want to get Rudiman because this guy, he's really, really good, and he's one of the untapped guys out there that nobody knows where he's going, and he's going to end up somewhere very, very good and very, very shortly also.
Couple of chasers right there. The 5 car of Kyle Busch, and behind him Martin Truex. The 5 being shown in 8th position. Truex is 9th. Carl Edwards is right behind the 5th car, the lap car of Menard. There comes Carl in the 99 car. So 3 chasers being shown 8th, 9th, and 10th. Back up front, Clint Boyer having the kind of day that race drivers dream about. Only his 64th career start in a NASCAR Nextel Cup car. Take a look at our Ford lap leaders. Boyer has dominated, leading 116 laps. Tony Stewart, 39. Ryan Newman, Casey Mears, and Kenny Schrader have led a single lap. Back in just a moment. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. We are under yellow for the 4th time today. A 4th caution flag coming out when that guy, Dave Blaney, spun in his Toyota. And that could be a huge lick or a huge down for this team. They're trying to get this car in the top 35 in the owner's points as we move toward 2008. Here's what happened.
Just looks like A.J. Allmendinger got in the left rear quarter panel of him. Got him up in the wall, and like you said, Jerry, this is a real tough deal right now for this 22 team. They're 36 in the points.
If this had been the old car, this car had a lot more damage than that, though.
Dave?
Jimmy Johnson is in. They almost didn't make the call. It was hard to tell there at the edge of pit road. The grip was better for Jimmy Johnson, still edgy on the throttle. They'll make an air pressure adjustment to fix that. 2 tires, Mike.
Dale Jr. said his car was a lot better on that run, although he did expect it to get tight as they went on. They make a chassis adjustment and 4-tire change on the 8th. Jamie.
And Clint Boyer made his way down pit road, right sides only. He's down and away.
Right sides only for Tony Stewart. Right sides only for the 17 car of Matt Kenseth for the 2nd time today. Bobby Reiser and company. And here is the race off pit road. Kenseth gains a spot. J.J. Yaley gains 7 positions. Greg Biffle up in the top 10. McMurray, both McMurray and Biffle having good runs today. The 2-car back in, and they are under the hood once again, look like they were trying to set the timing here in the engine.
Looks like they're just trying to verify everything that's wrong also and just try to fix everything they can with the amount of time they got.
We'll find out from Alan Bestrick exactly what's going on with the 2-car when we come back in just a moment to New Hampshire. Stay with us. Back at New Hampshire International Speedway, round 1 of the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Working caution number 4, the pace car will pull away, and Kyle Busch will lead him down. It'll be Busch, Casey Mears, and a good run for Reed Sorensen in the 41 car. He's third. Kevin Harvick bouncing back from that cut tire, now being shown all the way up in the 4th position.
Kyle Busch has struggled with this car earlier in the going. He's had 4 or 5 pit stops right now and talks on the radio to try to get it fixed. Got this thing up front right now. Alan, what's going on with the 2-car down there?
Rusty, one of the problems they're having right now is the cautions haven't been very long. Just minor spins, no oil, no debris to pick up. So about the time they get caught up, trouble.
We didn't hit nothing. Nobody hit us yet. Just stop right there. Get it running. Make sure we get her started here.
Bill Elliott involved in the 21 car. We were just talking about Reed Sorensen. I'm sorry, Kenny Schrader in the 21 car. Subbing for Bill Elliott this weekend in the 21. We were just talking about Reed Sorensen, how well he was running in 3rd position, and he became the victim there. The 21 car of Kenny Schrader and the 22 car, these are the guys that are battling for that elusive 35th spot in the owner's points, which guarantees you to make it in the race for the first 5 events in 2008.
They're battling hard. And you see the 21 and the 22 have had some problems. 22 car hit the wall. He's still running fast enough. These 2 cars run right together.
Back to the 41 car. We were talking about the great run that Reed Sorensen, Jimmy Elledge and company were having. Here's what happened just a moment ago going in the corner.
You see the 41 car just got in the corner real deep and got aero loose. That's what happens. Aerodynamics does have a big effect at these racetracks. And he got loose and got it stopped. Didn't tear anything up. Didn't go a lap down.
Inside corner. Spin in front of you. Go hot. Good job. Caution.
Kevin Harvick just barely misses him. I mean, didn't hit him, but very, very close.
How many times in the last few weeks have we seen Kevin Harvick dodge a bullet on the racetrack when cars spin or have trouble and be able to somehow knife it through the opening there? A 21 car of Schrader spinning and coming down across the grass.
Quite a few of these chase guys dodged that. Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, all these guys dodged that crash. So it was a close call for all those guys.
Frustration and tempers flaring here. Watch Schrader in the 21 car.
So sure this is frustration, or he's trying to maybe get all that grass off the front end of his car. We'll find out right here. This might just be trying to get that debris off the front grille that he got when he went through the grass.
Yeah, Kenny Schrader's not the type of guy that's going to go beat on somebody. And those 2 didn't get together, but that one there.
Well, I'm not so sure about that last one there.
Well, I bet that last one got the grass off, though, didn't
Maybe it did, yeah.
We said, once I get the grass off, now I'll beat on you.
It's just about the time it says Schrader never gets mad, he got mad. So
he's going to have to come in anyway.
Yeah, there's the clods of grass under. Is clod a word? The clumps of grass on the front of the Kenny Schrader's car.
It's okay, Jerry. That is a word.
Okay, even with all the grass, little Debbie is still smiling on the hood. Well, let's check out our Allstate Good Hands move of the race on behalf of Kevin Harvick. Allstate will donate $1,000 to the Urban Youth Racing School. Now watch Harvick get through as the 41 spins.
It's an unbelievable job that Kevin Harvick does right here.
Got to have talent to do things like that, and Harvick's had a lot of talent. That's the reason he made it in the chase for the championship.
That's what Harvick has been doing over the last few weeks, is being able to somehow knife his way through. Remember last week at Richmond, the big crunch on the front. Now watch the top of your screen. Watch Harvick somehow come out of this net, come all the way down through the grass to avoid these 3 and 4 cars, but the problem was he had so much grass on the front of the grill, it began to overheat.
Yeah, and I made a big deal out of that, too, thinking he was going to blow the engine because of heat, but it didn't happen. Watch him here now. Another accident he avoids, gets around the outside of the 41 of Reed Sorensen.
Those kind of moves are things that'll win you a championship. That's how, when you have that kind of move and that kind of talent, you dodge that stuff, and you can be there when that championship chase comes down. Dave?
And sometimes it's working with your spotter, and sometimes it's just your instinct. Spotter Billy O'Day said, go high, oh, nuts. Hey, good job. Traffic shows low, and it was the right way to go.
Hey guys, you know, sometimes I talked with Dale Earnhardt about this back in the 90s whenever I was battling for a championship, and he said, you know, those things right there are things that you'll remember more than victories in championship seasons. So if Kevin Harvick goes on to win this championship, he'll probably remember back to that move right there that really helped him win a championship.
Indeed, DJ. I can remember you dodging some of those bullets when you were able to go on and win that title back in 1999. Kyle Busch brings him down to the green flag. The younger of the Busch drivers is leading here, but the big question is what's going on with the 2 car, his older brother Kurt Busch. As you watch this chase, let's check in with Alan.
And Doc, right now he's trying to catch up with the pack. They came in on that caution flag, removed the spark plug. Remember we talked about them using a temperature gauge to see which one of the cylinders might have been down. They used that information to select the spark plug they thought perhaps could have been bad, removed it, sent Kurt around to keep on the lead lap, came back in a lap and a half later, just replaced the spark plug. Now he's trying to get out and stay ahead of the field, hoping to catch another caution and get back up to the pack. We'll wait for word on the radio as to whether that fixed the problem or not.
Well, keep an eye on his lap times. That'll be a telltale sign whether they've got it fixed or not.
Leaders coming there now. As you heard Alan say, Kurt Busch is the last car on the lead lap, and he is not but about maybe a third of a lap in front of his younger brother Kyle, who is leading this race here on lap 174.
Oh, check it out here. 3 wide, 4 wide.
All the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, the 45 car of Kyle Petty.
On these restarts, guys, they got the fresh tires, they got a lot of grip, and they just bonsai themselves around those racetracks trying to get all the positions they can.
Some good news for Kurt Busch. I'm looking at his lap times. He just ran the lap time that's equal to the leader. They may have got that car fixed.
Thank heavens for a spark plug, huh? 22 and 21 cars are 2 guys that have had issues here in the last 2 yellow flags. Kenny Schrader in the 21, the 22 of Dave Blaney. These 2 teams battling ferociously down the stretch to be in the top 35 in the owner's points.
But right now, Blaney's 1 lap down, and so is Kenny Schrader. So this is the battle for the get in the top 35, like you said, Jerry. We'll have to keep an eye on these guys. But right now, there's only 19 points, I believe, difference in these guys from 35th to 36. Awful close still.
Battle for 9th position. The 17 of Matt Kenseth is 9th. Martin Truex Jr., who started on the outside of the front row, is in 10th spot.
You watch his lap times again. Kyle Busch has turned a 30-31 to Kurt Busch's 30-66. So, Andy, about 3/10 difference. But we're not for sure yet if Kurt's got this thing completely fixed. Could be just how much of a better car the 5 Kyle Busch has. 3 wide, going at the corner, and boy, don't want to do that much.
96 is Tony Raines driving to get noticed for. Whoa! They just make a sandwich of the Dodge there. Juan Pablo Montoya on the bottom of the racetrack. That's Casey Kane in the 9 car, who was in the middle. Now he goes up high.
Well, Montoya got a big break in that last time. He just got his lap back, and so he's back in a hunt right now. He's up in the 20th position.
There's 2 teammates swapping spots. 07. He's back on the march again. He's got such a great race car. Not going to keep him down long.
And the 8 car of Earnhardt Jr. spins it out, and when that
all clear there against the 15 and middle 1 and 2 there. Middle 1 and 2 there. He didn't hit anything. 15 coming there. All clear.
Saw those guys racing really hard there in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
So loose, I can't control it.
Dale Jr. says he's so loose he can't control it. He's had a little mark in the right rear quarter panel in the back, a little dent in the left rear. So he's had contact on both sides of that car.
We saw the 8 car starting to back up in the field and guys were going by. He's just hanging on. Now watch here what happened.
He just lost it right here.
Dale Jr. said the car is just so loose he can't hold on to it. There's no cars around him. He just flat lost it and spun it out. You bet they'll come down and put 4 tires on and try to tighten that thing up, that's for sure.
This spin by Earnhardt Jr. and the 6th caution flag today, a big break for the 2 car of Kurt Busch, who was on the tail end of the lead lap, and now he'll get a chance to go all the way back around and not have to drive so hard to stay in front of his little brother Kyle, who's the leader. Back with a restart at New Hampshire in just a moment.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Chevy, an American revolution. Shell, made to move. And the Principal Financial Group. We'll give you an edge.
We welcome you back to New Hampshire International Speedway. We are still under caution, about 10 seconds, and they'll go green. A couple of quick updates now. Kyle Busch is your leader. Jimmy Johnson, though, running 6th. Remember, he started out first in the chase. So right now, he would be the chase winner. Of course, there's a long way to go. Remember last year, he had a disaster at this track before he battled his way back. And so, Doctor, there's so much racing to go, we can't declare anything over when it's one of the last 10 races for the chase.
You're exactly right, Brent. So much drama building here, and it all begins here today. 12 drivers, 10 races, and 1 championship. Here's a guy who's not in the chase. He is on pit road, though, Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a very loose race car, spinning and bringing out the latest caution. 6th caution flag of the day. Well, folks, the top 6 cars in the race belong to just 2 teams. Rick Hendrick's cars are running 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 6th. And Richard Childress' cars are running 3rd and 4th. How strong are those 2 Chevy teams? Pace car pulls away. Young Kyle Busch, who won here a couple of years ago, will lead him down to the green flag at lap 184.
Like Kevin Harvick didn't get a good start there. He's holding up this outside lane. Here comes Jeff Gordon underneath him.
And that's what happens to this racetrack. It's a very, very slick track early on, especially in low air pressures. Harvick just needs a couple more laps to get the heat back in the tires, but he's getting roughed up right now.
3 wide.
Lap car on the inside of Riggs.
Jeff Gordon trying to go high. He'll open the lane up for himself and Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and others as they try to go to the outside around the 29 of Harvick.
And that's one of the toughest things in the world on the restarts, guys, to get a good, clean restart, get those tires warmed up. But right now, Harvick is trapped on the bottom of the track underneath Ryan Newman. He can't let that car run up and get the grip he needs. Now the 17 car is coming by. It's really making it rough on him. And he's got the lap car of Scott Riggs roughing him up behind him. Not hitting him, but aerodynamically messing him up.
Just looking, Kevin's just looking for an opening here. He's got one right here. Finds him a slot.
Up front, the 07, Clint Boyer has run down Kyle Busch and will try to reassume the lead in the turn.
Now, Kevin Harvick just said there's something wrong. It won't turn. He really thinks he's got a problem. He just could have a tire going down or something like that. We'll have to stay on this one.
Kyle Busch and this team, they stayed out to get this track position, but they're going to have to pit in about 30, 35 laps. So he's going to have to be touch and go here looking for a caution. If he doesn't get one, he'll have to pit under green.
22 car of Dave Blaney. He just said if we don't get a caution, and Andy, we just got one. 7th caution flag today. And again, Dave Blaney bringing out a caution for the 2nd time. His Toyota spins around and comes up into contact with the wall.
That looks like an instant replay of his first spin.
Another break for a chase contender. Kevin Harvick complained about a problem with his car. He gets a caution flag to come down, put 4 tires in this thing, and try to find out what's wrong with his car.
Here's the spin this time with a 22 car. Watch the left side of your screen.
He definitely got some help from Regan Smith in the 01. Just tight racing there. I think it looked like the left front wheel locked up on Regan's car.
Dodging a bullet. Here's a 31 car of Jeff Burton.
Keep coming, keep coming. Caution's out, caution's out. Good job.
0-1 of Regan Smith. How important are those spotters?
And outside.
It's just two guys racing.
Come on. All clear.
Two guys racing, just run out of room there.
Under caution for the 7th time of day. This contact over in the turns as the 22 car of Dave Blaney comes up into contact with the wall. Carl Edwards in the 99 car. Watch the narrow escape for Carl as he just gets by. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Lap 191, just 109 laps to go here in race number 1 of this 2007 NASCAR Nextel Cup chase to the championship. Our aerial coverage brought to you by the folks at Best Buy. As you watch Clint Boyer pulling away by about a half a second over Kyle Busch. Good run for Casey Mears back in 3rd spot in the 25 car. Great run for Mears in front of his teammate Jeff Gordon. Tony Stewart rounding out the top 5.
Right now, David Rudiman's holding on, trying to get the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap, and he's got Johnny Sauter right behind him, racing him for that same position.
There's a 0-0. Rudiman right behind Kyle Busch, and Rudiman is being shown in the 27th position as there are 26 cars on the lead lap. Couple of former champions battling a fender to fender as Jeff Gordon will take that position away. That is the 4th spot. Then again, here comes Tony Stewart back on the inside. Not going to give it up that easy.
Well, Tony's not going to give up right now. Guys, you got to remember one thing. Going into this show, we talked about this is the most important race. These guys got to treat every single race now in this chase for the championship like it's the last one. And they're driving that way, too. They're driving hard.
Let's run along with our Wrangler telemetry and watch what's going on with Tony Stewart's Chevys. He's battling side by side with Gordon.
And Gordon was pretty smart on that one. He just backed out of the throttle, kind of got behind him. But unfortunately, it left the 12 car, Ryan Newman, a non-chase contender, get up alongside of him. Jamie?
Well, Jeff Gordon, you're looking at on your screen there. He's been battling his car all day, all different conditions, saying he's loose sometimes and he's tight other times. But one thing that stands out, he said he has no drive off. Rusty, what exactly is he talking about?
Oh, he's just loose, Jamie. He's spinning the rear tires up off the corner as he picks the throttle up. He puts the accelerator to the floor, and the rear tires just light up in smoke, and he's trying to get better grips so he can run faster down that straightaway. That's what he's talking about.
Hey guys, one thing that you fight with these COT cars is you're trying to make the cars turn in the center. You hear us say that all the time. So we want them to rotate a little bit better there. But in doing that, to make that happen a lot of times, you have to give up some forward bite. So there, you really have to strike a balance as to what you want to have. And right now at this place, it looks like forward bite off the corner is something these guys really want.
DJ, has this problem been around for a long time with the car tomorrow? This loose off the corner forward bite complaint we're hearing a lot of these drivers saying?
You know, Rusty, when we first started with these cars, I think everybody said, wow, the one issue that you don't have is forward bite. But the one thing that we had was the cars were so tight in the center. As some other guys have gone and made their cars turn better in the center, which rolls a little bit more speed through the center of the corner, you give up that forward bite. Now everybody's making them turn through the center, and everybody's complaining about they don't have forward bite.
You drivers, you want your cake and eat it too.
Oh,
you got to fix both of them.
That's what you crew chiefs make the big money for, guys.
Well, I tell you, one guy's got plenty of forward bite, and he's moving forward in the field. And it's the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. Dave.
And one of the things that gives that forward motion, Doc, is a good coach, and Chad Knaus has learned how to be a good coach for these guys. This week on Wednesday, he gave the guys the day off at the end of the day, closed the shop early, and he and the 24 crews went to the Whitewater Rafting Center near Charlotte, North Carolina. It was that kind of 10-man rafting where you do whatever the guide says together to get yourself through the Series 4 rapids that you go to. And if you don't do it, then you flip over and everybody falls out. So it was a good team-building exercise, and these guys needed a good blow before they got to the chase for the Nextel Cup. It's paying off in speed.
It was that kind of leadership and understanding of people that allowed Chad Knaus and company to win this championship a year ago. As you watch the 20 car move by the 25, that is for position. Tony Stewart takes the 3rd spot away. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th on your screen. And Stewart, Casey Mears and Jeff Gordon. Now, of course, Jimmy Johnson won that championship in 2006, and we asked him, how tough is it to repeat and win 2 in a row?
It's such a long season, so difficult to win a championship, let alone back-to-back championships. I think the chase makes it more difficult to win a championship. After 26 races, you now have 12 guys within 50 points roughly of one another. So it's really, really tough to win a championship. And to repeat's even that much harder.
Last person to repeat as NASCAR Nextel Cup champion was his teammate, the guy he's battling with right there, Jeff Gordon, who won it in 1997 and 98.
The intensity level these teams have got to keep up over this 36-race NASCAR Nextel Cup Series is just incredible, like you said. Now, Andy, something like 20 straight they've been going on right now?
It seems like when you're the man, like Jimmy Johnson is right now, there's a target on your back. I know we won the championship back-to-back in 93 and 94, and it is harder to win that championship that second time just for that reason. Everybody on this racetrack is shooting for you.
Talk about how hard it is to repeat, but when you're that good and when your whole team is that good, not only do you get a chance to win a back-to-back, you hover at or near the top 5 in the points. Look at Jimmy Johnson's career. 5th, second, 5th, first, and currently first here in 2007, trying to win 2 in a row, although it's awfully tough to do.
I'm Stan Verrett, and this is the SportsCenter Minute, powered by Vizio. Brett Favre is now the NFL's all-time winningest quarterback. Packers' win over the Giants was his 149th as a starter. That breaks the tie with John Elway. Peyton Manning threw for 312 yards today as the Colts top the Titans 22-20. The defending Super Bowl champions are off to a 2-0 start. And Tiger Woods is on his way to the FedEx Cup title. He leads the Tour Championship by 4 strokes with 8 holes left to play in Atlanta. That's the SportsCenter Minute. I'm Stan Verrett.
Thank you very much. Back at New Hampshire, congratulations, by the way, to Brett Favre as you're watching Clint Boyer. By the way, Brett Favre is a good friend and of our Dale Jarrett, and also a very good friend of Matt Kenseth, who went up and watched the Packers play last week. Clint Boyer is setting sail. He has now officially led the most laps in this race. As you take a look at our forward lap leaders, Boyer has led 5 times for 145 laps. Tony Stewart, second in laps led, 39. Kyle Busch, you see it, Ryan Newman, Casey Mears, and Ken Strader have led 2 1-1 apiece. This is the first race in the 10-race chase. Now, how important is it to win a race, or maybe like Clint Boyer has done right now, lead the most laps? See what would happen for him? As of right now, with 90 laps to go, he would move all the way from 12th to 4th in this chase after one race, and that's how it would shuffle. You see that Kurt Busch, who is on 7 cylinders, would lose 7 positions.
Yeah, talking about Kurt Busch, he's almost a second behind the pace right now. The car's definitely got an engine problem somewhere, and they're still working on that to try to resolve that problem.
5 car of Kyle Busch hanging on in second spot with more. Let's check in with Alan.
And Doc, he did not pit under these last 5 caution flags. The last time we saw this 5 car on pit road was back at lap 140. That's how he took the lead. Now that we're across lap 200 and inside of 90 laps to go, the strategy is beginning to play out in this team's favor. If we get a caution in the next 20 laps, everybody will come to pit road. It could be their last stop of the race, and the 5 has gained all the track position by staying out. But if we don't get a caution then, and they have to pit under the green, and then the yellow comes out before the other leaders have to stop, then Kuji Dow and Gustafson has taken a huge gamble in race 1 of the chase. The way the yellows have been flying, they're banking on getting a caution now. That'll make their move pay off. But you never know in racing now, do you?
That's just an incredible gamble to take right now. It might pay off for him. You have to see it. And, you know, he is right, Alan Gustafson. There's been a lot of caution flags happening right now that could play in his favor.
Jeff Gordon in the 24 car is on the move. Now, if you look at our sprint speed lap, you'll see that a lap ago, Jeff Gordon was turning laps faster than Clint Boyer. So late in the day, that's when these guys that are champions or understand what it takes to win a championship start turning up the wick.
Yeah, we're inside of 100 laps to go now. So these guys are really starting to march and trying to get themselves in position for this last run.
Well, just about the time Jeff Gordon did that, Clint Boyer outran him the last lap again. So they've been swapping back and forth. It's kind of like how they get through the corner and what type of grip they get off the corner.
Hey guys, you know, we used to look at this race, the last 100 laps of it, that about 25% of it was run under caution. And with the 22-gallon fuel cells, a lot of times you could come in under lap 190 or 195, and even though you could only go 90 laps under green flag racing, you would have enough caution laps. But I think the COT cars have changed that strategy. So these guys are taking a real chance. I don't think there's as many cautions we saw in the first race up here we ran with a lot fewer cautions. I think because these cars are so hard to drive and they just don't handle as well that these guys aren't able to race side by side, which creates a lot of the cautions. So this is a real gamble the 5 guys are taking.
They're really in a vulnerable spot right now. They're going to have to pit in just a few laps or fuel under green. So we could put them out to the dry here if that caution doesn't come out for them.
And remember, last year's cars had 22-gallon fuel cells. Now they have 18-gallon fuel cells.
Kyle Busch just radioed a moment ago, said I'll be on pit road in 10 laps. We'll take a quick break and come back and try to catch that pit stop in just a moment. This telecast is available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Less than a handful of laps now away from the pit stop on the 5 car. They rolled the dice. You heard Alan Beswick tell you what they were trying to accomplish. They definitely wanted to be able to get a caution flag and hope they got one so they would not have to pit under green and lose time to that car, the 07 of Clint Boyer.
Getting right down to the nitty-gritty here on that too, so I'm sure this 5 car is running on fumes. They're really looking for a caution flag. Then if they have to pit under green, they're going to look for the green flag to stay out. They don't want the caution to come out.
He might be able to pull one thing off, but I don't think he can get 2 things to happen. That is cake and eat it too, that one, if that happens.
Kyle Busch, the youngest driver ever to win at New Hampshire back in July of 2006, won it here at the age of 21 years, 2 months, and 14 days. He rolled the dice that day, had a good car, made a pit strategy call late in the day, and ended up being in victory lane. Very, very close on fuel for Kyle Busch. Just a couple of laps away, and according to the calculations and the fuel window, I don't see anything in this tank.
Looks like he ought to be on pit road right now to me looking at that. But that's just about what we're calculating here, is that he should be out of fuel.
They say he's got to come this time.
This time, nice and smooth here, just nice and smooth. 4 tires of fuel, guys. Got to get it full. Got to get it full.
Looks like our fuel gauge is right anyway.
Battle for third position. That's Gordon and Stewart. Here comes the 5 car, and you heard the command from Alan Gustafson. We have got to get it fuel. Rusty waving that left hand.
He's waving his left hand, telling everybody behind him, I'm coming in. Don't run over me. He's going to get it to the bottom of the track, then hit pit road, and got to be careful not to speed coming down pit road. That could really kill him if that happens.
Jumps on the brakes, gets down to 45 miles per hour. Very lonely. Down to you, Alan.
Going to be a 4-tire change for Kyle Busch, hoping for a speedy, smooth, efficient stop. You see the right side work progressing. They'll come around the left side. Now what this team needs is for the caution to not wave until everybody else has come down pit road and made a stop. That's the only hope of saving their race right now. Jamie?
And you see Casey Mears into his pit box. He stayed out those last 2 cautions. So you guys know you're talking about running low on fuel. Casey Mears is running on fumes there. They're going to do 4 tires. No changes expected. They took a tear off that front windshield. And Casey Mears, that 25, is down and away in 14.3.
The 2 car of Kurt Busch now going a lap down. He will be listed in 27th position. Make that 26th position as the 07 car goes down.
Whoa! Clint Boyer gets loose off turn 4.
They just joined our coverage. The 2 car of Kurt Busch had complained that he had an engine that was sluggish. They've been on and off pit road under the caution. Changed the spark plug. Thought it might be a spark plug wire or a plug. And the car has just not gotten any better. He is running off the pace now. And now goes a lap down here to the leader with just 73 laps to go. Just a few laps away from what should be the final pit stop for the day. We'll come back and cover it after these messages and a word from our ABC station. Back in New Hampshire, Cliff Boyer continues to lead in pit stops, becoming the order of the day, the 17 car on pit road. Dave.
And Matt Kens's car said it was really, really tough. Matt said to turn it in the middle of the corner. Big wedge adjustment on the left side right there. A 4-tire stop finally for this guy who's made every chase so far, and a good recovery today with pit strategy early and a fast race car late. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart making his way down. 3/4 around a wedge, we're being told, for Tony Stewart. They're expected to take 4 tires. He gets the countdown into his pit box. Tony Stewart running solid all day. Hasn't quite gotten all the way to the front to lead some laps, though. And it's going to be 4 tires right side and left side for Tony Stewart. Let's go over to Alan Bestwick.
Championship chaser Carl Edwards just leaving his box after a 4-tire change and a check bar adjustment. His spotter, Bobby Hudson, imploring him, don't speed, don't speed. A mistake like that now when you have to come back down pit road could be really costly.
And Jeff Gordon pulls into his pit box. 4 tires. He's saying he is so tight. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. He said he was loose getting into 1 earlier. So they're expected, like I said, to take 4 tires. Minimal changes for Jeff Gordon. He's down. Let's go to Dave.
Kevin Harvick had to pit under the lap 188 caution when Dave Blaney spun. They changed 4 tires that time. Got the car quite good, but he had to restart 25th. Has been battling in traffic. Minor adjustments now to take Harvick to the end.
Kevin Harvick coming down pit road, and you hear these spotters all the time saying, please do not speed 45 miles an hour because you can ill afford to have to come back in. Speaking of coming in, here's Jeff Burton. Mike.
And over the last portion of that run, frustration was evident in Jeff Burton's voice. He's saying the car will not turn and the rear end just wants to slide out. A 4-tire change is expected on the 31 car as the team now swings to work on the left side and goes to service there, jacking it up and getting the car off the jack. We go to Jamie.
Cliff Boyer, who has not been out of the top 5 all day, just dominated. 4 tires, no changes. Once again, that car continues to be stuck, and they're going to make those changes there on the tires, and Cliff Boyer's down and away.
And Ryan Newman radioing in saying just too tight, 3 and 4. He called for the track bar adjustment. They took out 2 rounds.
Ryan Newman exiting. He has not won a race since 2 years ago here, 71 races ago. Had an awfully good car, has a good car today. The 1 car, Martin Truex Jr., who led 46 laps back in the spring, only to finish 3rd. Being shown our leader, the 1 comes down pit road and, whoa, tries to jam on the brakes to get that car woed down.
Do not speed, 4,600.
Martin Truex has had a real swing with this car. It went from the best it was to really tight, I cannot stand it, to pretty good right now. They stayed out to lead lap 2:38. Stayed out long enough to do that. 5 extra bonus points could be critical down the stretch here. 4-tire change for Truex. Going to be an air pressure adjustment. But again, he likes the car from here, and he leaves pit road.
Great pit work, 13.2 seconds for Truex's crew as he makes his final stop.
Well, guys, we thought that maybe the 5-car Kyle Busch, the pit strategy might not have worked, but right now he's in good shape. He's running 11th right now. He's on the lead lap. Gustafson's made a good call, and so 5 cars back in the hunt right now, and no problem there, Andy.
Yeah, the circumstances definitely worked out for him. Alan?
Still got to finish up this cycle of green flag stops for that all to come to complete fruition. Rusty, here is David Reagan, the rookie who had his career best finish a race ago at Richmond Inn. He started 38th today. He moved up into the top 20 in this race. A 4-tire change here for the young driver from Georgia.
Tony Raines in for what should be his final stop. Great effort for Tony today, trying to get a ride for 2008. J.J. Yaley will jump in this car, which will be a Toyota next year. Tony said that car in the top 15 for much of the afternoon. And how about Reed Sorensen? He was running 3rd when he had that spin about 70 laps ago. Has led 3 laps today.
This team seems to get real good gas mileage, so they're trying to use it to their advantage. Leaving Reed out here and maybe getting a caution, he could catch a few of these guys down a lap.
And Reed's been doing a really good job driving that car. Won that Busch race earlier in the year on the front row for the Brickyard 400. Had a good 5th place finish there, I remember that day. And I believe what happened there is what got him re-signed with Chip Ganassi Racing. So the kids really coming on and doing a good job.
Working over A.J. Allmendinger pretty good here. See, Matt Kenseth now, he's down a lap to this 41. He wants to get by him to get back on the lead lap.
Kenseth being shown in 14th position. There are 13 cars on the lead lap unless Kenseth can make the pass. Kenseth has the fresh tire. Sorensen still hasn't made his pit stop. Dave.
And Doc, they plan to pit in about 2 laps. You mentioned the spin that he had. He had raced back up to the 14th position, made a great recovery for these guys. Right now, Reed is complaining a little bit loose going into the corner, tight coming off the corner, but a great recovery. And from the July race, when failed bump stops actually caused them to have to change a right front shock, and they had to give up all their track positions. So they've run well here this year, much better today than in July.
And these guys have to put a bump stop. We hear that a lot. What that is that's something on the shock to keep this front splitter, or the front of the car, from hitting the racetrack. They put this stop on there to stop the suspension travel.
The little plastic sleeves, like you said, Andy, the bump stops, they can actually change those on a pit stop. They can come down pit road and change them. And in fact, we heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. earlier in the race commenting that they did that.
Brake heat has been kind of causing problems with those things, causing them to fail on some cars. And that's what happened to this car the last race up here.
41 car of Reed Sorensen has now led a total of 7 laps. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. The story in the FedEx race rundown. First of 10 races in the chase, 12 drivers qualified. Clint Boyer started out in 12th, the only guy who hasn't won a race this season. He's dominated today. He already has 10 bonus points for leading a lap and most laps. Kevin Harvick came in seated 11th. He was running 6th until lap 133. A right front tire went flat, but Harvick stuck with it. And this is what championship racing is all about. Harvick makes the great move to avoid disaster. So far, in terms of the chase, Kurt Busch in the most trouble with engine issues. Doc, back up to you.
Thank you, Susie. Kurt Busch is being shown down a lap, and they were watching the 8 car getting ready to pit. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. waving at left hand, indicating he's going to slow down and make what should be his final stop. Earnhardt Jr. was the leader, and when he peels off, that will give the lead back to Clint Boyer in the 07. Earnhardt Jr. making his final stop. Trying to pick up a win despite the fact that he is not in the chase. Wants to win some down the stretch here. He's headed down to you, Mike.
And as a result of not being in the chase, Doc, he certainly had the chance to gamble there. Waited as long as he could, hoping for a caution. It did not come out. They're down pit road, expecting a 4-tire change on the 8 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been struggling most of the day. This is a car that didn't get much practice with. They made a lot of changes after Friday's practice, but when practice was rained out on Saturday, they really did not know what they had today, and they're struggling because of it. They're away.
Earnhardt Jr. back out with 47 laps to go. Here's Juan Pablo Montoya, who is being shown in 3rd position for his final stop. Alan.
Running as high as 3rd, Doc. They chose to play a strategy game as well, leaving Montoya out as long as possible because they've been struggling all day with this car, hoping to catch a caution that would keep them on the lead lap. It's not going to work out that way. Final pit stop here for Montoya.
Leader is Clint Boyer in the 07. For more information on pit stops, you can log on to ESPN.com. Search word safety. Clint Boyer has had the kind of day that only drivers can dream about. He has led 6 times for 176 laps. Whoa, and he near missed behind Jeff Green, who was peeling off to make a pit stop.
Tony Raines fighting to stay on the lead lap. Got a pretty good car. Clint Boyer's got the best car.
The Boyer's a leader. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car is in 2nd position. The 20 car of Tony Stewart in 3rd spot. There's Gordon, the 2nd place car. There's Tony Stewart coming into your frame. And, of course, how about the 5 car? That great pit strategy by Alan Gustafson worked out for Kyle Busch. He's now being shown in the 4th position. 45 laps to go in round 1 of the chase of the Nextel Cup. Right now, they're chasing Boyer. Laps are winding down in race number 1 as we head to a championship here. Race 1 of 10 in NASCAR's chase of the Nextel Cup. Talk about championship fever. Coming up tonight, just down about an hour south of us in Beantown. Sunday night baseball, and hey, you don't get much better than the rivalry between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. That's where John Miller and company are standing by. John?
Okay, Jerry, and as the NASCAR playoff series has begun today up there in New Hampshire, we're standing by here at Fenway. It's the final game of the regular season series between the first place Red Sox and the wild card leading Yankees. And as we saw again yesterday, as people are already lined up waiting to get in tonight, these two better rivals tend to play tense, bruising battles. Youkilis got hit hard yesterday. Hinske took out Posada at the plate, and then Giambi got hit by Beckett in apparent retaliation for Youkilis. The umpire issued a warning to both sides. Tonight, two power pitching veterans on the mound. Roger Clemens for the Yankees, Kurt Schilling with the Red Sox. They go head-to-head for the first time since Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. So, Jerry, you're absolutely right. It's the Yankees, the Red Sox. You won't want to miss it. Sunday night baseball at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on ESPN. And the Yankees are arriving at the old ballpark in the Back Bay. Let's go back to the race, Jerry.
Thank you very much, John. Doesn't get much better than that. Kurt Schilling, the 6-time All-Star and former World Series co-MVP. Roger Clemens, a 7-time Cy Young Award winner, just an hour south of here. And boy, wouldn't it great to be a sports fan in New England this time of year? You start sniffing that championship. You got the Red Sox, you got the Patriots down in Foxborough, and you got NASCAR taking the center stage here in Loudon, New Hampshire.
Well, let's go down here after the race and check it out. It's just a short drive, right?
You got it.
07 car Clint Bowyer is having a fantastic day today. His lap times, he's been faster than anybody throughout the day. And if he can hold it together for the next 36 laps, this could be his first one this year. And I don't want to jinx him, so I'm not going to say it yet.
Laps are winding down. What's happening now between the drivers and crews here among the top 3? Clint Bowyer, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart. Let's listen in.
Got a little bit more flow in the wheel there, Gil. They took the air off the car. We got looser back there. Does it seem like that's happening on this car, too? We're just trying to figure something out for that. Like one of the worst cars out here for the first 5-6 laps. It's unbelievable how little grip we've got. Yeah, almost closer to dead center of the corner and a little past. It feels like we need some shock in the front, but I don't know what we can do to work around that. It just needs to roll to center third. So if you broke it up in even thirds, the entire center third just needs to roll better.
That's interesting to see just what all these guys are fighting. You hear all these guys have something just a little bit different that they're dealing with.
Yeah, I like the feedback that Tony Stewart's given to his crew chief, Cipodelli. He's talking about roll the center third. He's just trying to look for some more speed. He's out of the throttle there longer than he wants to be. And if they're going to work on something, that's it. But I'm afraid right now with 34 laps to go, what they got is what they got.
And I'm not sure any of them have anything for the 07 of Clint Bowyer. What's going through that young man's mind in the 07? His 64th career start. He's 28 years of age from Emporia, Kansas. He has never won on the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Tour. Could he become the 4th first-time winner in 2007? And remember, he's trying to overcome history. He has never run well here. His best finish in 3 tries, a dismal 24th back in September of a year ago. This telecast is available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Laps are winding down. Great crowd on hand here at Loudon, New Hampshire. Great early entry to the fall here. And this aerial coverage brought to you by our friends at Best Buy. 91,000 seats there filled. There's folks in the infield watching race number 1 in this 10-race chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup here in 2007. They could be seeing history made as well. Not only could Clint Bowyer get his first victory, if he could hang on, it will be the first time in the modern history of NASCAR that we've had 43 cars start a race and 43 cars finish a race. Looking back from Kevin Harvick's onboard camera, and that is not a good sight for Kevin Harvick because the leader, his teammate, is moving in.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want to see right now, especially when you're a chase contender like Harvick is. And Bowyer, again, keeps ripping out these fast laps. A couple laps ago, he slowed up about 0.3 of a second, only because he was navigating through traffic, and Gordon ran him down a little bit, but now Bowyer's pulled back away.
Gil Martin, his crew chief, has got this car dialed in perfect for Clint. They haven't made a change on it all day long. And Clint knows how to make a car go around here. He was Robbie Gordon's crew chief when he won his first race here in 2001.
Battle for 11th position, the Chevy and Ford. The 11 is Denny Hamlin. The 99, the Roush Fenway car of Carl Edwards. Onboard camera shot showing you exactly. Watch Hamlin slide up, and the 99 car trying to get on the inside, but Hamlin jumps back in that throttle up high. Alan Bessel.
You know, Doc, to win a championship, a team is going to have to deal with problems as they present themselves. For Carl Edwards, one of the championship chasers, his problems here were on Friday when he crashed during practice. His team brought out this car, the backup car, the only 2 laps it ran on the racetrack before the start of today's race. They're 2-time trial laps. No practice yesterday because of rain. If they can get a top 15 finish today after overcoming that this weekend, that's a pretty good way to start a championship chase. They'd like more naturally, but that's not bad considering the way things looked on Friday.
Side-by-side action, the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. Talk about comebacks. He qualified 30th and languished back into about 25th to 28th in the first third of this race, and then has been slowly and steadily moving his way toward the top 5.
Yeah, his lap times are pretty good, too. Currently, he's in the 7th position. Like you said, Jerry, started in the back of the pack, and this is something that's pretty common for this team to have happen. Dave?
And must be talking with crew chief Robbie Reiser this morning. He told me we're not in a position to win a championship. I don't want to sugarcoat it. We haven't run well in anything. We're just trying to get our cars to run decent. And I think they've accomplished that today. They used a 2-tire stop early to get up track position. You guys mentioned that. But they've really done a good job of dialing that car in to be fast. And that's what they've been lacking heading into the chase.
Getting a top 10 finish here today would be a big step for these guys because this was one race that they were not looking at as being one of those they could capitalize on.
48 in one car, couple of Chevys side by side. Jimmy Johnson, reigning Cup champion and points leader coming in. Martin Truex trying to take the spot away. That is the 5th position.
And he does that on the bottom of the racetrack. And now the 48 is trying to get him back on the outside, but just can't get it done. And a lot of teams are looking at the one car of Martin Truex coming into this race, especially his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Martin was so strong here the first race.
Yeah, Truex led 46 laps back in the spring and finished 3rd. But here is the guy that's just had a remarkable day, the 07 of Clint Bowyer. Jamie.
And Doc, he's remained cool, calm, and collected all race long up until about 10 laps ago, and that pressure is starting to mount.
You got to time it. Back your corner up, beat him up off, get him in a straightaway. You can't beat him underneath him. I'm telling you, Dale, our race is tight. Working on him, man. You'll be all right. There you go. Now get your mind back together.
And Clint Bowyer yelling about his car being tight. As you heard Andy Petrie say a few moments ago, they haven't made an adjustment on this car all day long, but the temperatures are coming down. The car's starting to get tight, and the pressure is mounting as Clint Bowyer looks to take home his first ever NASCAR Nextel Cup victory. Doc?
You can tell that Clint is just so close to winning his first race. He's a little bit frustrated, really up on the wheel, paying a lot of attention, but he can say all that stuff, guys, but he can't come down pit road and fix it. It's only 19 to go.
Do you remember what you felt like when you were in his shoes and you were just laps away from winning your first big race here in NASCAR Cup?
No, absolutely, Jerry. It's just gut-wrenching. It's really hard on you, and you're hearing things that are going wrong with a car that really aren't going wrong.
You got Gordon hung in traffic right here, which is a big-time advantage for Clint Bowyer.
Yeah, that really helps Clint Bowyer with the 24 being hung in traffic right now. But Clint's got a pretty good lead. He's just got to hit every single point on the racetrack perfect. And don't get distracted and stay focused.
7 car of Robbie Gordon, who was having a pretty good run slowing. It's like part of a piece of a brake duct or something just wavering underneath the car, but he gets slowed down. Here was just 17 laps ago. Robbie, by the way, a former winner here at New Hampshire. And here's the 19 car. It's been on and off pit road a couple of times. Alan?
Changing a battery. Doc, electrical troubles for Elliott Sadler. He tried to ride it out to the finish. This came up about 15, 17 laps ago. Couldn't make it. Just started to lose power.
And you can see that car really starting to slow, Alan. It's just getting passed by every single car out there. And Andy, you well know, you've had your drivers call you and tell you, hey, it's missing. And they said, look at the amp gauge on the dashboard, and it said 0. You know right away what the problem is.
And batteries are hard to change on the pit stop.
Looking back from Kevin Harvick's car. Now, it was Kevin Harvick who had the run a year ago in this race. Harvick led 196 laps to win. Today, it's his teammate. That guy's closing in, Clint Boyer. That has led 206 laps thus far.
Well, right now with 16 laps to go, Kevin can't do much. He's working his brains out to try to stay in that lead lap. But he doesn't want to hurt Clint Boyer either in this attempt, because this is going to be his first win if he can pull this thing off this year.
Each of these guys are running their own race. They all both want to do the best they can, but like you said, Clint Boyer.
And this has got to be a tough one on Richard Childress right now, watching this. He feels for both of them, and now Clint gets by. He's clear sail, and that was a smart thing to do out of Kevin. It really helped him.
Harvick just gave it to him. He wants to see this guy run good, too, and get a win.
That was the perfect point when Richard Childress stands up and then sits back down.
Jeff Gordon still in pretty heavy traffic. Here's a lap they're clicking away. There's Gordon in the 24 car inside of David Reagan. The third place car is Tony Stewart.
Right now, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon's about a half a straightaway behind Clint Boyer. And Boyer's got a really clean run in front of him. No traffic in front of him right now. Probably about 45 cars before he catches the next car, Clint Boyer.
Tony Stewart now trying to work in behind the 66 of Jeff Green. Stewart in third position.
Stewart gets loose getting in the corner right there. A little arrow loose. The 01 got on his bumper, made it dance around. But Tony got away from him.
Whoa, a little bit loose there again as the 01 you see right in front of Tony Raines. Now the fourth place car is Kyle Busch.
Kyle's had a solid car throughout the day. A little scared in the pit strategy early on, but that paid out for him. And his lap times have been right up there with the leaders, you know, very, very close throughout the day. And it's just all about track position right now. Who can get close to Clint Boyer, if anybody?
Back in sixth position, we talked about the car that had the great run here in the spring. Out of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, that would be the one of Martin Truex Jr. We asked Martin, why didn't you bring the car back that you ran so well with in spring and led all those laps and finished third? He said, that was the car we won with at Dover. We're saving it for next week when we go to Dover, Delaware.
And you know, these guys, from the first race to the second race, the setups really change a lot, don't they? Learn so much, it seems like.
Especially with a new car like this, it seems like this learning curve is pretty steep. So these guys are learning something every week that's helping these cars. So just because you had a good car here the last race doesn't mean that you'll have a good car the next time.
So is it pretty safe to say that the setup they ran the first race is not like the second race?
It'll probably be different.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, and we had some sad news that Jimmy Johnson, one of his close friends, and certainly an individual we're all familiar with, Colin McRae, lost his life in a helicopter crash yesterday in Scotland. The crash killed 4 people, including, Colin, the former World Rally Car champion. With him were his 5-year-old son, Johnny, family friends, Graham Duncan, and a 6-year-old Ben Porcelli. So a very tough news for all of us who have followed Colin McRae's career over the years, and we saw him with that performance at the X Games this year, and a terrible tragedy for the motorsports community yesterday in Scotland with that helicopter crash. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the McRae family and their friends. 17 car of Matt Kenseth. Now, all 7 of the top 7 cars are chase contenders, so the cream does indeed rise to the top here as we are inside of 10 laps to go, and the top 7 are all the drivers who are battling for the Nextel Cup title.
This is one team that always does seem to do that. Matt Kenseth's style is to show up at the end of the race, get the best finish. This team doesn't beat themselves either. That's the key thing.
Well, there's one thing for sure. Everybody in this field wants a caution right now, except for the 07. He doesn't need it. He's got a big lead. And you talk about...
Sort of vibration above the corner. You're fine.
That's exactly what happens for a driver who's going to win. He's feeling everything with this car, a vibration off the corner.
NASCAR really is about fulfilling the American dream. Remember, Rusty Wallace came from the Missouri, from a family who worked very hard with a couple of small-town businesses and became a champion. Clint Boyer came from the Midwest, from Emporia, Kansas. Grew up driving, slipping and sliding sideways on the dirt tracks. Clint says his biggest career moment was when a few years ago, as a huge Elvis Presley fan, he got a chance to meet Lisa Marie. He said, that is my career highlight until I get my first win. And guess what, Lisa Marie, you may move to second because he's 6 laps away from winning his first NASCAR Nextel Cup race.
Well, I think the band Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, weren't those the guys?
Slow down some.
Weren't those the guys that picked him to win this race? That'll be something they can say they did and predicted if it happens.
We just heard Mike Dillon, the spotter, say Harvick said slow down some. I think Kevin's trying to give him a little advice here so he doesn't get too excited trying to win this first race.
You have all day, buddy. You don't need to pass nobody. Nobody's catching up. 77.
There's Kevin Harvick, his teammate, being shown back in 17th spot. He's the first car a lap down.
Clint Boyer's got a 6-second lead. He doesn't need to make a mistake here trying to go too fast. And that's what Kevin Harvick's trying to give him, that little bit of advice.
And right now, if Clint Boyer can hold on and win this race, he's went from 12th in the points all the way up to 4th right now. His teammate Kevin Harvick's holding in 10th position right now in the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship.
Clint Boyer has led more laps today in one race than he has in his entire 63-race NASCAR Nextel Cup Series career. What a day for Clint Boyer.
And what a time to do it here. Starting the chase off. He kind of snuck in there, but now he's just said, now I'm going to be one of the guys to beat.
Richard Childress has really done a lot of work on this car tomorrow, a lot of research and development, a lot of testing, but this team here, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, has also. And Jimmy was so dominant last week at Richmond, I thought we'd see the same thing out of him again, but another strong finish, or another strong run out of Johnson, running 6 right now.
Be 2 laps to go next time by. Clint Boyer, who grew up in Kansas, in central Kansas, said he was a huge college basketball fan. He loved the Kansas Jayhawks. He loved the National Football League. A huge Kansas City Chiefs fan, said someday as a kid I dreamed of being on that pedestal, being in the major leagues. You don't get much more major than NASCAR Nextel Cup stock car racing. And here's a young man that's 1 lap away, a lap and a half away from realizing a dream.
Well, if he can win this thing, he's going to be a huge New Hampshire Speedway fan also, because a lot of drivers like running this racetrack. It's very challenging, but right now Clint Boyer's mastering it.
The next car is so far back, just stay right there.
Yeah, Mike Dillon doesn't want him to get in trouble here with this lap traffic on the last lap.
Yeah, do not pass him. That's about the only time you hear a spotter say, don't pass somebody. Just stay there. And Clint needs to do that.
Clint Boyer, 28 years of age, realizing a dream. His 64th career start. He is 2 turns away from that first Cup victory. Jubilation, celebration. Clint Boyer, you can imagine what's happening in downtown Emporia, Kansas right now, because, folks, you talk about a great effort today. Clint Boyer dominated and led 6 times for 222 laps, and Gil Martin and the entire crew down there for Richard Childress celebrating.
Well, take a look at this. We've always said if you're going to win the chase for the championship, we really feel like you need to win. And guess what? This guy's in there. He's won.
There's Jeff Burton, his teammate, pulling up beside of him. Too bad that Richard Childress couldn't be here to see this. He's in Mongolia hunting.
I thought he was down there standing up. Standing up in Mongolia, maybe. Okay.
Kevin Harvick comes by to congratulate his teammate, as does Jeff Burton. And now the run begins. Race number 1 of the chase, and Clint Boyer becomes the 4th first-time winner.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Mike Dillon's still a spot.
Keep it going, baby.
We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Loudon, New Hampshire, history being made here in race number 1 of the 2007 Chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. The fourth first-time winner in 2007, a 28-year-old from Emporia, Kansas. Clint Boyer gets his first win in his 64th career start. Now, he did so many donuts down there that the car would not refire, so they're having to push the car to victory lane. Meanwhile, the driver is already headed there. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, it's a very non-traditional victory lane. First time he's here, and he's here without his car. So, Clint, what happened out there? Did you blow it up or what?
I don't know. It wouldn't start. I think I was a little hard on it in the burnout, but it don't matter. It was an unbelievable job. Hats off to Gil and everybody. I knew we could do it. You know, Jack Daniels Chevrolet was fast. I just want to thank everybody, DirecTV, Chevrolet, everybody that helps us, Camping World. It's just an unbelievable day.
Clint, yesterday I asked you what sets you apart from the other chasers, and you said, I'm the only one without a victory. How did you overcome the pressure of your first chase, not finishing well here in the past, to bring home victory and dominate like you did?
I'm not going to kid you. I was about to throw up those last 30 laps, but it's unbelievable. I'm just so proud of these guys. And Ford, back home, we took 2 tires for you. That's Gil's boy. He'd be proud of us, but I'm proud of everybody. Wish Richard would have been here. He's from Mongolia. I'm sure he's partying now.
Clint, what does this say for all the naysayers that are like, why? How did Clint Boyer get in the chase and he hasn't won yet? When is he going to win? What does this have to say to them and your competition for the rest of the chase?
Well, hopefully it just proves that we earned a spot here and we're here for a reason. And just so happy to be a part of the chase. It's such a neat deal. And hey, this is the Nextel Cup, baby.
Clint, I have to ask you, those last few laps, how many different things were you coming up with in your mind that could have possibly gone wrong with your car?
Yeah, what's funny was I was starting to feel a vibration up off the corners, but I don't know what it was. It was just, you hear every rattle, squeak, bang in that thing, and everybody racing. I was watching up ahead, making sure, I was hoping, praying that nobody crashed. So thankfully, caution didn't come, and we kept it out front.
What a big day. Clint Boyer in victory lane for the first time for his first Nextel Cup victory. Doc?
Thank you, Jamie. And a huge shuffle in the point standings. Of course, the top 3 stay the same. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart. How about Clint Boyer gains 8 spots all the way to 4th position. Kyle Busch gains a spot. Martin Truex, Matt Kenseth. The big loser today, of course, the engine problems for Kurt Busch. He slides all the way back to 12th position. The burnout for the 0-7 of Clint Boyer. What a day for the young man from Kansas. Back in New Hampshire, Clint Boyer's picked up his first career win. Jeff Gordon finishing in 2nd spot. Tony Stewart was 3rd. And our 4th place finisher made some pit strategy work in his favor. That was Kyle Busch. Let's go down to Mike.
And Doc, Hendrick Motorsports continues to be strong with the COT. Not in victory lane, but a 4th place finish for Kyle Busch. I'd imagine you're pleased, but how would you assess the day?
Well, it started off pretty slow for us. You know, the CarQuest Kellogg's guys did an awesome job on pit road, getting great pit stops, and Alan made some great calls and getting the car to handle better for us. So just a work in progress all day, trying to get the thing better. And, the other guys started off the race better than we did, but we were able to prevail a little bit more there in the end, especially with our pit strategy staying out there on tires.
For a long time throughout the 2007 season, it looked like Hendrick was certainly the team to beat when it came to these COT events. But now as you look at the pylon, you see an RCR car up there. What do you think?
Hey, everybody's just catching up. We definitely had our homework done in the off season and in preparation with testing with these cars in the beginning, and everybody just kind of caught up and made their stuff better. The Roush Munch has won a race now, and Casey was awfully strong there at Bristol. So it's just a work in progress for everybody, and everybody's trying to get a grasp on it and trying to make it better. And hopefully we could still get our stuff going just as good as everybody else's, where we could try to win a couple more before this thing's out.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Mike, Martin Truex started up front today, started on the outside of the front row and stayed up front, but at the end, talk about lap traffic and trying to keep that top 5 going.
Yeah, it was pretty hairy. Bobby Labonte was racing me awful hard. I got inside him once, and he ran against my door pretty good, but he was apparently racing the guys that we were catching, for the 1 lap down cars, so I can understand that. But anyways, it was a good day for Bass Pro Chevrolet. Started up front, was hoping to stay up there. We were just way too tight at the start of the race. I don't know what it is. We always practice well here, and at the start of the race, we're real tight in the middle of the corner, and it took us a while to get that out of the car. It took a while to get it turning good, and we never got it really where I liked it till the last run, and by then we lost too much ground on the leaders. So It was a good day, though. The guys did a great job for me, and it's a great way for us to start off the chase.
And you know where you're going next week, right?
We're going to Dover. Yes, I can't wait. Looking forward to it. You know, but we need to get better. I think everyone will go there and be stronger than they were last time, just like here today. It seemed like today it was a lot harder to pass guys here than it had been the first time, and I don't know if it's because everyone's closer together now or what it is. So we'll just go to Dover and hope to do the best job we can do, and hopefully my water jug works. I'm a little bit thirsty right now. I've had nothing to drink all day.
All right, Martin Truex off to get something to drink, guys.
And a great one for Martin Truex, his first ever appearance in the NASCAR Nextel Cup chase, but in the events that make up the chase, he has been in these races 16 times, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, bodes pretty well for what Martin may be able to do now as a chase contender for the first time. And look who finally made it to victory lane. The car finally got there, and let the celebration showers begin for 28-year-old Clint Bowyer. Back in a moment.
Monday Night Football on ESPN continues this week with an NFC East battle. Can Clinton Portis and the Redskins take the momentum from their overtime win when they visit the city of brotherly love? Or will Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles settle down at home and earn their first victory of the season? Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, Clint Bowyer collects the first win of his career. Dale, do you remember what that first win was like? Can you imagine it being in this kind of setting?
Yeah, my first win in Michigan, very exhilarating, but to do it in the chase when everybody's questioning, how did you get there without winning a race? He answered those questions, didn't he?
Now, Denny Hamlin also in the chase. He's with Dave.
And with Denny Hamlin right now, who's finishing up today, not in the top 10, but ends up 15th, Denny. That's kind of where you started the day, so what was the deal with the car today?
Just couldn't pass. You know, it seemed like we had 5th, 6th, 7th, or whatever it was, half straightaway ahead and just could not pass. You know, unless really a guy makes a mistake or your car is just far more superior than the guy in front of you, you're not going to be able to pass. I don't know how many laps the 07 led, but looked like the leaderboard stayed the same all day long. You just, I think everyone will agree, you just can't pass with these cars. And until we make a change, that's the way it's going to be. That or you just got to qualify better.
All right, Denny Hamlin frustrated today. The winner here in July comes home outside the top 10. Mike?
And Ryan Newman was hoping to get to victory lane. In fact, his last victory was 2 years ago this weekend right at this track here in New Hampshire. But it seemed like the car really tightened up on you in that final run. What was it like?
Yeah, the last 2 runs we got a little bit too tight. We had freed it up, but just it kept getting tighter and tighter. We under-adjusted. But it was a good run for the Mobil 1 Dodge. You know, wish we could do it all over again, especially after what you said. But thanks, and we'll just go on to Dover. It's one of my favorite racetracks. We did well there. Finished second after qualifying on the pole, and hopefully do one spot better there next week.
Let's go to Alan Bestwick.
Thank you. Carl Edwards for a car that had only 2 laps on it, 13th place today. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they said we ended up 12th. Which I just got to thank everybody at Marriott Vacation Clubs. They said if I won the race, all my guys got vacations in Hawaii or wherever they got one of those Marriott clubs. But with a backup car, you know, like Bob said, we'll just lick our wounds and go on to Dover. That's not a terrible day. That's about as good as we could expect with a backup car, so I'm proud of my guys.
All right, Carl, and as far as a thought on Dover, that's a racetrack that you've been pretty good at historically.
Yeah, I love Dover. It's really fun. Last time we ran 3rd there. We had a great car, and I feel like we've made a lot of gains since then. So as long as I can keep the primary out of the fence and on the racetrack, we'll be great.
All right, not a bad day for Carl Edwards. Thanks.
Carl Edwards in his second ever appearance in the NASCAR Nextel Cup chase finished 3rd in the points back in 2005, but it bodes well for him. He has done well on the tracks that lie ahead. He has 2 wins and 17 top 10 finishes on the next 9 tracks that we're going to be going to between now and when we crown a champion at Homestead, Miami. Celebration ongoing for Clint Bowyer, who won his first race today in dominating fashion at New Hampshire.
ESPN's coverage of NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on ABC, brought to you by Avodart, Can-Am ATVs, the ride says it all. Sprint, featuring NASCAR Nextel Cup Series updates at sprint speed. And the Ford F-150, built Ford tough.
Here in New Hampshire, the Sylvania 300 is history, and Clint Bowyer has picked up his first win of his NASCAR Nextel Cup Series career in his 64th career start. Jeff Gordon finishing second, and our third place finisher standing by with Mike Massaro.
And a year ago, Tony Stewart was on the outside looking in. This year, though, he's back with a vengeance. A top 3 finish here in the opening race of the Chase. How would you describe the day?
I don't think if anybody would have came up and asked us a week ago if finishing third was going to hurt our feelings, I don't think anybody would have said that it would. So I'm pretty happy with the third place run today. I mean, we were much better here today than we were in the spring, and that's all we can ask for. So, you know, you look at the pylon, you look at the guys on the pylon up there, it doesn't figure out why all of them got to the chase. I mean, it's already a fun chase already.
How important is it when you look at the chase and you lay everything out to get off to a good start like you have here? Now, of course, going to a place where you've been stellar over the course of your career.
Well, without knowing what the next 9 weeks are going to be like, you don't know whether it's important or not. But, you know, it sure doesn't hurt your feelings. I mean, after you run your first chase race and you've run good, I mean, it's kind of common sense. If you run bad, you're not real happy about it. If you run good, you normally are pretty happy about it. So.
Well, Tony Stewart off to a fantastic start. Now he goes to Dover, a place where he has 2 career wins, guys. Dave?
And Jeff Gordon coming home second today in the 24 car. Obviously, Boyer very, very good, and Steve apologizing at the end. Car not quite there for you, but what was lacking in this car today?
He has nothing to apologize. That was a great team effort with this DuPont Chevrolet, and the pit stops were awesome. I thought the car was really good. It's just, you know, to come from 18th is not easy, and there's that one group where there's a bunch of cautions, and my car just did not take off on cold tires. That's one thing we've definitely been fighting with our setup, but is real good on the long run. Lap cars were just horrendous today, and so, you know, I was just happy to come home second. I thought that's a great way to start this 10 race stretch, and for the Nextel Cup, and I'm excited. I hope this is a sign of more things to come with this race team.
Tony Stewart finished right behind you. You had a quick discussion with him, Jeff. What was that about?
Oh no, I just say congratulations. Great racing. I mean, we had some tight battles out there, and there's times he got the best of me, times I got the best of him. But it's just these cars are funky. I ran him down. I was faster, and I got by. He kind of waved me by. And I got in front of him, and the car it was just weird for a couple laps, and he came back, pretty heavy on me, and luckily I was able to kind of get some good laps together there and start to pull away.
Second place today, and a good start to the chase for the 4-time champ, guys.
Dave, Jeff Gordon, second place finish. He came into the day 20 points behind Jimmy Johnson, but by finishing second and having Jimmy Johnson finishing back in 6th, they are tied now, dead even atop the standings as we head to Dover, Delaware for race number 2 of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Chase for the championship.
We welcome you back to New Hampshire, where the first race in the chase is in the books. And now you can add Clint Boyer's name to the list of first-time race winners this season. But Boyer one-ups those guys because it's the first race win of his career, and of course does it in fine fashion. He was sick of hearing of how he was the only driver in the chase who hadn't collected a win this year. And let's rewind the clock about 4.5 hours, Brad, where you said in Countdown that he's starting at 12th with a guy like Jimmy Johnson leading. It was insurmountable.
He took a huge gouge out of my theory today, but I mean the guy led 222 laps, and I still believe those guys in 10th, 11th, 12th place who started today are going to have a difficult time catching Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. But I'm going to tell you what, Clint Boyer did all he could to prove that theory wrong today.
Wow, he did everything he could, dominating fashion. But he might find those next 3 guys, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart, a little more difficult to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Well, Clint Boyer with the perfect 195 points helped himself the most. Kurt Busch, on the other hand, hurt himself the most, and he's with Alan.
With Kurt Busch. Kurt, I know it's not the start to your championship chase you wanted. A thought on the day?
Yeah, we survived. I mean, it could have been worse with what we had go wrong with the engine. Just felt like we lost power. We get great power from Penske Jasper, and enough to sit on poles, enough to win races with. So a bummer that it happened today. We had a good car, enough to finish in the top 5. Boyer was really strong, so congratulations to him. But for us, 25th isn't bad. Could have been worse. And we'll go back next week and make sure that problem doesn't happen again.
I know you were busy inside the car. Ever any further diagnosis on what it was?
We ended up just finding out right now that it was something in the carburetor that broke that didn't allow the car to get full throttle. So it was just tough. Guys would get us 3 car lengths in the straightaway, and we get them 4 car lengths in the turn.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
picks up a 25th place finish today, and he is in his third chase appearance. He was the 2004 series champion, won the chase the very first year we had it. Over the chase events, he has a win and 17 top 10s. He should be okay as he tries to climb back into contention. Back in just a moment. Back at the Hampshire International Speedway, this crowd of just over 100,000 clearing out now. And you can see where the grandstands were populated to the brim earlier in the afternoon, courtesy of our friends at Best Buy. What a day for Clint Bowyer. I mean, a day that a driver could just dream about. Dominating fashion, led 6 times, 222 laps. But how can Clint Bowyer, one Richard Childress car, win the race, and his 2 teammates finish back in 17th and 18th, both a lap down?
Well, Jerry, it's just different setups. All the drivers want a little something different. And the day Clint Bowyer wanted something different than the rest of them, and it really paid off for him. They're still trying to figure out this car tomorrow, and Clint got it dead right this time.
And this is the same thing Clint Bowyer was wondering just probably a few races ago when Kevin Harvick and his teammates are winning races, and he's finishing 17th. So today he just turned the tables on him.
Well, Kevin Harvick did dodge a couple of bullets today. In fact, our Jamie Little has just caught up with him.
Well, we caught up with Kevin Harvick as he went into victory lane to congratulate your teammate. Talk about those last couple of laps, Kevin. It was a long day for you, but seeing your teammate, Clint Bowyer, en route to his first victory.
Yeah, we got 2 flat tires today, so that put an exclamation point on everything that's happened this year. But to see everybody on that Jack Daniels Chevrolet team, Clint and everybody succeed, they've been close a lot of times, and Clint's a great friend, and to see him in victory lane and see that relief on their face is great for him and great for our company and good for everybody involved. So it's just exciting to see, and you can't ever do your first win twice as we get dirt and grass blown in our face, but can't ever do that twice, so it's something that he'll never forget, and obviously that team will never forget, so it's a lot of fun to see.
How about your guys' performance today? You bounced back, you never gave up. That's the name of the chase. How are you looking now going into Dover?
Well, today could have been a disaster, and as we go forward and you don't have those 30th place days, and to have 2 flat tires and still finish 17th, just proud of my guys. And what are the odds of getting 2 flat tires, just 2 cuts in one day? So, you can't control those types of things. You just got to go as fast as you can. And everybody on our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet team did a great job.
That's Kevin Harvick. Guys?
Harvick's finish of 17th puts him 10th right now in the point standings. It is his second career chase appearance. He finished 4th a year ago. In the chase events coming up, he's got a couple of wins, 14 top 10 finishes. So Kevin Harvick could definitely be a factor, as he was a year ago down the stretch in the 2007 chase to the Cup. Action continues next week on Saturday afternoon in Dover, Delaware, starting with the NASCAR Busch Series at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And then, of course, NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Chase Championship continues on Sunday at the Monster Mile. Last fall, Jeff Burton broke a 175-race winless streak and took over the championship lead. In fact, the championship chase lead has changed in the last 3 Dover fall races. So, folks, stay tuned. It's going to get even more exciting at the Monster Mile next Sunday. Let's go down to Alan Bestwick.
Jimmy Johnson, a 6th place run today to open your chase. You're tied for the point lead heading to Dover. Thoughts on this race, first of all?
One down, 9 to go. Not a bad performance for us. Much better start than what we had last year this time. So, the performance was good, but not exactly what we wanted. We felt like we were a little bit better than this. Than a 6th place car at the beginning of the race and kind of slipped a little at the end. But, all in all, these top 10s are very important, and we didn't lose a lot to anyone, and we're still in the middle of this thing.
How difficult did you find conditions today? A lot of guys talking about how difficult it was to pass. Why was that?
Well, the cars are the same pace, and there's really very few areas to work in to work on the race car and make it handle differently. So everybody's got to drive the same line, the same style, and that's a fear a lot of us have had about the car of tomorrow. Plus, this track isn't the best for side-by-side racing. It puts on a good show, but if you look at the history here, it's one of the hardest places to pass on. But all in all, I think we're still in good shape for this chase and looking forward to it.
Good luck in Dover.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Jimmy Johnson tied for the championship lead heading to Dover, and we go to Jamie.
Well, we caught up with Casey Mears, and he's the highest finishing non-chaser, 8th place run today. Casey, great run. Take us through your race.
I think it was a great race for everybody in Hendrick Motorsports and everybody on the National Guard. GMAC Chevrolet had a good day. We struggled at some points, a little bit tight at the beginning, but Darian and all the guys made some really good adjustments. Guys did a good job in the pits all day, and wish we could have held on to a little bit better finish. We were kind of on the same strategy as the 5 there, Motorsports and a good day for us in the points.
How are you guys approaching these next 9 races? Because you could go for the win. What are you guys doing?
Sure, I mean, we're going for the win, but we're really trying to get that 13th spot too. I mean, we're closing in on it, and if we just keep having some consistent races and run like we know we can, I know we can get that spot. So we're gunning for that 13th spot. Hopefully we can get it, and you know, at the same time we're trying to win races, and we just continue to make improvements. We just keep on this steady pace. We'll be fine.
Definitely took some chances today, rolled the dice, they ended up 8th.
Casey Mears continues to get better and better. He is 15th overall in the points. That one win coming, his first career victory at Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte back in May. A pole, 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s here. Another great run today for Casey Mears. Another top 10. Back in a moment.
From upside down at Daytona in February to capturing his first ever NASCAR win in September. What a year it has been for Clint Bowyer in the 07 Jack Daniels car. Jack and Coke sounds real sweet right now, doesn't it, folks? And now Clint Bowyer jumps from 12th all the way to 4th, and the chase will move to Dover, Delaware. And all 10 drivers will be in pursuit of the 2 superstars. That's right. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon are dead even tonight. Jimmy the defender and Gordon right there his equal, and you can look at the rest of the field. Kurt Busch took the big fall today. He trails by 102 points, slipping all the way down to 12th place. And again, it'll be Dover, Delaware for race number 2 of the chase. And right now, let's go to Jamie Little, who is with Gil Martin.
And with the winning crew chief now, Gil Martin, one of 2 crew chiefs in the chase for the first time. And Gil, tell me about today's performance, how dominant you guys were. It's the most dominant we've seen. What was the difference?
I mean, I think we've been holding back a little bit of stuff in the engine department and setup-wise. We've been really conservative with the car all year because we knew that the big picture was we had to be in the chase. And with nowhere to go but up today, I mean, we implemented some things on the car, and I myself was a little surprised how good it was right there. I mean, but Clint did a great job. We had a flawless day in the pits, and that's all you can ask for right there is a day like that.
You were with him last year in his rookie performance. What is the difference this year? He seems almost like a different driver.
I mean, I think it's just got to do with he's just got more confidence right now. He knows exactly where he's got to be, how long the races are. Last year, maybe we'd get a little too aggressive too early. This year, I mean, it was patience. It paid off for us, and I mean, consistency. Everybody's been pounding us about the first win. Well, it couldn't have come at a better time, and I couldn't be happier about that.
And Gil Martin, guys, told me this team knew from Daytona they would make the chase.
We've got to go to Lynchburg, Tennessee. We got a great party going to happen at Jack Daniels with Goose and all the guys. We're looking forward to being there.
Celebration is ongoing down there, and as Brent Musburger said, the young man, Clint Bowyer, began the year upside down, sliding across the start-finish line at Daytona. But what about a domination early on? Clint Bowyer picked up his 2nd career pole. He had won the pole earlier at Darlington. And, of course, here today, from the get-go, he was the dominant car up front. Kevin Harvick suffers a flat tire. Fortunately for Harvick, it was just 8 laps before scheduled pit stops. He was able to come down pit road, dodge that big-time bullet. And again, another bullet. Watch the 41 car of Sorensen spin in front of Kevin Harvick.
I mean, Harvick just keeps skirting all these bullets. A heck of a job out of him. He missed that one, missed the one last weekend. Just an incredible job out of Kevin Harvick.
Kurt Busch issues with a 2 car. He said the car was sluggish and would not run. They thought they might have something internal in the engine. They were hoping it was simply a spark plug or a wire.
It turns out he says it was in the carburetor, not opening up full throttle. When that happens, you just don't make enough power to be competitive.
When the day was over, it was a day to remember for the kid from Kansas. 28-year-old Clint Bowyer, 6 times he led for 228 laps, and Bowyer becomes the 15th different winner in 2007, and more importantly, he jumps 8 spots up in the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Clint Bowyer, what a remarkable effort. His first win in his career in 64 starts, and he led more laps today than in his entire 63-race NASCAR Nextel Cup Series
It
career.
always feels so good to dominate and get your first win like that in a domineering fashion. Just an incredible deal he had today. I mean, Jerry, to be able to go back and watch this race and say, you know what, I kicked their butt all day long.
and now he's got that win that he was looking for. Nobody's going to ask him about, you know, when are you going to win a race? How are you in this chase without winning a race? He's done it now.
What about momentum for this whole team to be able to go to Dover and maybe go for the final 9 races and get a shot at the championship?
I think this is a big shot in the arm for this team. No telling what can happen from here.
A crowd of over 100,000 strong were on hand today to see race number 1 of the 2007 chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. And Brent, they saw history made with a young man from Kansas picking up his career first Cup Series win.
They certainly did, Jerry. Excellent job by our entire crew. And a reminder, coming up next now, except on the West Coast, ABC's World News or your local news over most of these ABC stations. And, of course, a reminder next week, the chase for the championship continues at the Concrete Monster Mile. And we've got the teammates, Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, tied for the lead. Sunday at 1 Eastern, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series at Dover. And congratulations to our winner here today, Clint Boyer. Basically, he won the poll and said, chase this, which is exactly what unfolded here in the New England countryside. And when it was over, well, Clint Boyer celebrated like a proud owner of a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. I mean, it was the best burnout we've seen all year long. So long, everybody. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC.